It's time for MacBreak Weekly. Jason is back. Andy Andco's here. Alex Lindsay as well. We'll talk about rumors about a new Apple TV. What would you like to see in an Apple TV? The new Apple Watch Ultra, another rumor. In fact, a lot of rumors. Plus, yes, finally, you've been waiting for it. You've demanded it. You needed it. Ping pong on the Vision Pro. It's next on MacBreak Weekly.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 969, recorded Tuesday, April 22nd, Earth Day 2025. Here comes the pizza. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show where we get together with some fun people and talk about the latest Apple news. The fun begins right now with Jason Snell back from a visit to Memphis. He was walking in Memphis.
Yeah, that's right. I with my blue suede shoes, no less.
Yeah.
The fun begins with Jason Snell, never a phrase used when I was in high school. So thank you.
Sixcolors.com. We missed you last week. We got Doc Rock on, but it's always nice to see the doctor. But
Doc
still.
Rock, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have let him step in my place.
And you were doing something really good. You were doing some work for St. Jude, which I know Relay.fm does a whole marathon come September. Right?
12 hours of live streaming in Jerry Lewis style. And so this is we're kind of like filling the tank for that.
Will Hurley be back for that?
Mike Hurley will be back for that. He wasn't
Good.
at this thing, but he will be back. He's back from his paternity leave. He'll be in Memphis. And we'll have a whole...
He's back on Upgrade.
Crew, and he's back on Upgrade with me as of yesterday.
Nice.
But it was good to see that. I mean, they do some amazing work there. And this time we actually were very lucky. We had a very small group of us actually kind of went through the bottom level of the hospital. And I'll tell you, it's one thing to know psychologically, mentally, emotionally about what St. Jude does. It's another thing to walk past a bunch of kids who are being treated for cancer at the hospital. And that's the first time I'd experienced that part. It was a really, it's a pretty emotional thing. So we'll raise hopefully a bunch of money for them in September.
Yeah. Also here, Andy Andco, who dances to the beat of a different drummer.
The fun continues with Andy Andco.
The gags and laughs comes fast and furious with Andy Andco.
Especially during the fact-checking portion of Andy's comments that come later.
Yeah, he's
Stick
a
around.
laugh a minute, I'll tell ya. Good to see you, Andrew. And he knows the Pope. He's shaking his hand, Mr. Alex Lindsay.
The next Pope, ladies and gentlemen, Alex Lindsay.
No, he won't be the next Pope. I think you have to be a cardinal first, I think.
No
I
Americans
don't
ever.
think that they're going to let me.
No Americans.
But Andy dragged me into Blue Sky. It's so much nicer. It's so clean.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
Are you in Blue Sky now?
I've been in Blue Sky. I didn't do anything.
Nice.
Andy pointed out there was a conversation about light and magic that that came up about, and Jason sent me an email, and Andy sent.
I sent you a screenshot of it because I knew you weren't on Blue Sky. So I was like, here's the thing that happened on Blue Sky. I have a screenshot, Alex. I don't know what you do with it, but take it.
Talk about you get caught doing something that you weren't supposed. Not really. We weren't supposed to be doing. 25 years later in a trailer. I finally remember. So
wait a minute. Now you got to tell us where is this?
It's in the trailer for Light and Magic. And it doesn't show me. Well, I show up in the show. So in the first episode of Light and Magic, if
you're in it.
Yeah, if you go to 45 minutes and about 47 minutes in the first episode of the second season.
So this was unveiled at the Star Wars celebration.
Yeah,
and this is the trailer. Okay. I got to see this. So where would?
Well, in the trailer itself,
there's a screenshot of it in our Discord.
And
Liam.
someone pointed it out. As I remember it, because it took me a little while to remember. I was like, I knew that was my screen, but I didn't know. I couldn't remember what was going on. And then I remembered what it was that I was playing around with this car simulator in Electric Image and dropping it onto this dune that I had built or whatever. And a camera crew ran in. So I quickly grabbed the Queen ship and put it over top of that video and hit play so that it wasn't like a random Humvee running through the desert. So if you look at the
car landing Balfries
half-res.
Oh,
QuickTime, QT. QuickTime.
On top of that, Space Approach QuickTime, and that's Padme's ship, which you were working on.
I'm pretty sure that shot was the shot over Coruscant. So that's the shot where it spins over Coruscant. And I worked on that for like 9 weeks, and so anyway, so I'm pretty sure that that's my desktop. Because
Well, thanks for Jamin Bull on Blue Sky who found it. Or is it Jamon Bull? I don't know.
Yeah.
You might be a Jamon Bull.
Jamon.
Jamon.
But if you
and I must have missed that little skeet because I see I'm included in it. So
yeah,
that's nice.
But if you go to somewhere like 45 minutes in or so, you'll see me wander by. I had helped put up some storyboards or whatever, and then there's another place a couple minutes later where I'm just kind of scratching my face in the background.
Oh, so you know you're going to be in it. That's great.
Well,
and by the way, he skeeted as a note. You can actually see me in the background in the first show at about 45 and 47 minutes. So now I can follow you on the skeeter, little skeeter.
On old B-Sky, the old B-Sky.
Old B-Sky.
So,
good old B-Sky. I'm following Andy. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so.
Nice.
I'm going to do more.
In fact, you have the dark hair version as your avatar.
No. It's even darker. Like it's pure black and lots of it. I forgot that I even had that much hair ever. So
nice.
Anyway, you'll see a very young version.
Oh, you created this account in the 2023. You just never used it.
I just keep on going, I'll get to it. And then I didn't. Now I'm in, I opened it up. I was like, this is really nice. I think I need to do more stuff here. So
it is what Twitter seemed, kind of was sort of in the old days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be sweet.
I'm going to be there more. If people want to follow me there, it's just the same name, Alex Lindsay.
Good. LINDSAY. Yeah.
Can I just say, this has been like the past 10 minutes, including the pre-show, has been the most Alex Lindsay moment ever. Where it's like, oh yeah, well I got stories about hanging out with the Pope and hang out with it. Like, oh yeah, well I was at ALM and I was doing that. Yeah, I'm in that documentary. Yeah, I mean.
Is Rumsleg in the documentary?
He's not in the documentary, but I think
holding out for more money. Very smart.
Yeah.
Don't let Disney weasel you out.
That's right, Rum.
They were like, yeah,
you got him. You got right by the.
It's all about the back end. They said we just want to do it in streaming. I'm like, if you're gonna do streaming, I still need a back end. It's gonna be important. So
yeah. I just did a search on Blue Sky for pictures of Rumsleg, and there he is. Look at that.
It's a scuba suit. Spray painted orange or whatever, and then like other stuff that was kind of thrown. One of those.
That's you in there. That's you in that scuba suit.
It is me. And what's funny is it looks like I'm talking to myself if you actually watch the clip. And what happened is that Jonathan Rothbart was next to me, but you could see his face, and because you could see his face, they decided to roto him out. So then I was just left there looking like I was crazy. So
everybody wants a Rumsleg action figure.
They still make them. They're like $50 each.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't make them. They sell them. I think that they had a short run. Well, it was funny when I finished doing that clip. They had me do what's called a T pose. So you put your arms out and you and you turn around and you do this. Yeah. And they just take pictures. And back then they just took pictures. And I said, "What's this for?" And they were like, "The action figure." And I'm like, "I'm going to have an action figure." And they were like, "You're in tier 3."
No, so George is going to have an action figure.
They're like, if tier 1 sells well and tier 2 sells well, then we get to your action figure. And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought for sure I'd have one. And then it didn't happen for 10 years. Like it was.
Now, ironically, everybody's action figure is AI generated and appearing on Blue Sky. So we've come full circle.
Exactly.
Now. Yeah. There was a tweet. Tim Cook's still using the X because I think he doesn't want to cheese off Elon Musk. Little tweet joining people around the world in mourning Pope Francis today. And of course, he passed away over the weekend. I actually sent a note of condolence to our friend Father Robert, who said, yeah, I was with him the night before. I guess they kind of saw it coming and gathered around to wish him well on his transition to the next stage of life.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Let's see. What else is going? Well, you know what? This is going to be the rumor episode, I think.
Oh, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
That's the rumor.
There's a rumor going around that this is going to be the rumor. Oh, one more Pope Francis story before we go on.
Popes and rumors. It's all popes and rumors today.
Popes and rumors.
Get ready.
It's the Popes and Rumors show. One of his last prayer intentions, according to Fast Company, urged people to look less at screens. And then he passed away. So is this good advice? Maybe, maybe not.
First Jesuit Pope, I think. So
was he the first? Really?
Yeah, a lot of firsts. First from South America. First
he was from Argentina.
Jesuit.
Yeah.
And also, I know we're just talking about Apple stuff, but like, he's like the guy who said, "Oh, a papal limo No, I would be more comfortable in like just a white Econo box. Like, ooh, the Papal Palace. Isn't there like an apartment building
He's
next
in
to
the
Papal
guest
Palace
apartment.
where we put up people who are
Right.
visiting? Just give me a suite of rooms there.
Yeah.
And oh god,
Very humble man.
Ratzenberger had all those gold. No, just give me plain his
gonna
like
have a
those
wood
100%
casket.
humility.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's gonna
Instead of
be
the
like
3 caskets they used to do: cedar, then lead, then elm.
Well, and the things that we did there was in conjunction with Skolas, which was his schooling program that he had built while he was in Argentina, and so it was really talking to school kids, to kids and answering their questions and everything else. And so it was definitely. He definitely believed. He was definitely embodying, what he believed or what he espoused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think absolutely. I'm not a Catholic, but he was a very impressive person, and of course our father Robert, who's a Jesuit, was fairly close to him. So, wishing you well, Robert. Now to the rumor. That's the Pope. Now the rumors. Apple 4K TV, new Apple TV coming in the fall. Is that right? With a big chip upgrade?
What are they going to add? Like
What does it need?
yeah.
Well, the good people at 9 to 5 Mac, Ryan Christoffel writes about this stuff a lot, and he said, it'll probably get a chip upgrade. One of the challenges with old Apple TVs is that those chips aren't necessarily being used anymore. So one of the reasons, it's already really fast, right? Like I tested it.
It's plenty
recently.
fast.
It's plenty fast, but they do need to have chips to put in them. So sometimes they revise them just to use a more modern chip,
that's a
so
good
that
point.
it has more life.
Yeah.
Probably there's going to be some aspect of what they'll call Apple Intelligence support. My guess is that it'll be, something either related to acting on requests from non-Apple Intelligence devices and working on them or passing them on, or maybe I think you could add some tvOS focused ML features and brand them Apple Intelligence.
You saw that Netflix
yeah.
is going to start using ChatGPT in its recommendation engine, I think. So maybe this makes sense for recommendations or searches.
Yeah. And there's lots of stuff. I mean, the only thing that gives me pause is that they haven't done any of this with Apple Music, which is sitting right there. But maybe Ryan at 9 to 5 Mac also suggests that this might be where Apple's first Wi-Fi Bluetooth chip replacing the ones from other suppliers that they design themselves might come in. So that's a possibility. And then there's lots of mysterious talk about camera support. And I don't think they're going to make an Apple TV that you can like perch on the top of your TV like a Kinect or like that little Wii IR bar kind of thing. But I do wonder if they might, I love continuity camera, but the fact is you have to pull a phone out of somewhere and put it somewhere and all that. Wouldn't it be nice if you could have a camera mounted that you could use for Zoom and FaceTime and Apple TV? And one thought I had is, you could just put a USB-C port on the back again and then let people plug webcams into it.
Interestingly, that's what the Switch 2 is doing. And Nintendo's going to sell a camera that comes with a new Switch
that you can add on. Yeah, because I like continuity camera, but the problem is you can't make a standalone continuity camera really because you could, but it would have to connect wirelessly to the Apple TV. And I use the Apple TV for Zoom calls every other week with my wife's family, and it's great, but I have to set up a tripod and put my phone on it and stuff like that. I'd much rather just put a webcam up on the top of the TV. But so anyway, that's one thing they could do as well is put a USB-C port on the back again so that they could attach a webcam to it.
I mean, they're the other things that they could do if they wanted to is that one of the things that they could kind of stretch. Almost every TV that you buy is capable of 120 frames a second, although almost nobody uses it. Technically, the current Apple TV can support 120 frames a second, but they could, for instance, be more aggressive about that, where they start to, because your phones now can all shoot 120. If you were suddenly able to, have a place to send 120 at regular frame rate to your TV, you may, that's something that basically only they can do. So it puts a lot of pressure on all the other underpowered over-the-top boxes. Is that they could, kind of flex that direction. I think that there is some potential for the Apple TVs to integrate with the headset a little bit more, so with the Apple Vision Pro. So, being able to have a W1 chip or whatever they want to call it, some chip that makes it easy to understand where the Apple TV is, as opposed to, how it's working with the headset, so that you can easily take the headset on and off. Because I think that where the headset, I don't think I want to watch a whole soccer game in a headset, but seeing highlights immediately afterwards, or like a replay where you're suddenly down there, is much more interesting. But figuring out that integration is important.
Theoretically, that's something they could do with handoff, and it doesn't actually have to be that hard. But that's one of the challenges that they've had is, again, I go back, all of these things are eminently reasonable, but I had that same thought about Apple Intelligence with Apple Music, where it just sort of hasn't happened, and I don't understand why. I would say handoff is a great example, where there are lots of places where you'd want to take media you're listening to in one place and transfer it to somewhere else. And other than like iPhones and HomePods, which they did, a lot of this stuff is just not there. Like, you still can't do that thing that was in that original iPod ad where you're listening to music on your Mac and you walk away and put in your AirPods, and in this case, and walk away with your iPhone, and like it continues playing what it was playing before. Like, it just doesn't do it. They don't have any of that. And so I wonder why not. Maybe they need a good reason, but you're right, Alex. Like, if you're watching a movie on Vision Pro and you could just say, transfer this to my TV, and it should be able to just do a really quick, essentially airdrop, turn on your TV and start playing it.
Well,
there.
but I think that even further, that I'm watching something on my TV and immediately says there's a highlight or there's a special thing for the Vision Pro, and I just put my Vision Pro on, and immediately jumps to that, to something that's specifically for the Vision Pro that adds to that value, whatever that is.
I don't think that needs new hardware. I think that's just a software thing, because that is all within the realm of what they can do with continuity features.
Yeah.
They just have to do it. Right. But I agree.
I think that the real challenge for Apple is they keep on wanting to add more features. And I'd be a very happy consumer if they said, hey, we're not going to do anything for the next year or 2 years at WWDC. We're just going to make everything that we've done work. And work well, and just really refine the experience of those things, as opposed to continually adding new things to the list, because I feel like Apple just keeps on adding new things to the list, and I got a whole bunch of things that kind of work.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a challenge. Although I don't feel that way about tvOS. I feel like Apple has they've been very slowly moving toward more unification of their two interfaces, the TV app and the app launching home screen. And if you look at any other box, that's not sort of where it's going. It's going to a more integrated setup, at least by default. And I think they've missed the boat completely on live streaming channels, and that's the one where I would really like to see a tvOS improvement. But again, doesn't really require new hardware. That I think the new hardware rumor. Yeah, I mean, my gut feeling is it's basically the chips are old in it, and it would be nice to do a refresh there so they can keep doing it. If they can get some price out of it, so that they can maybe lower the price of the box or just maintain with their margin, that would be good too. And honestly,
they could use new chips without announcing it.
They do that a lot, where they just say, "Well, look, there's a new version."
Right.
They do need to say, because the specs would change, but it could be super low key. If they choose to do nothing but swap in a new chip, they'll just, call it next generation, or they'll call it 2025 and not make a big deal about it. If they support Apple Intelligence features, they'll make a bigger deal out of it, just because there'll be some features that you won't be able to use unless you buy the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also there could be some forward planning here. Whatever they want to do with Apple TV in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years, the current hardware maybe can't really do it. So they want to make sure that, God knows when they can release Apple Intelligence features for anything, but they want to make sure that whatever they ship from X date forward can do whatever they have planned for this.
Well, and we've talked a lot about tariffs, but presuming that tariffs will remain high in China, refreshing products gives you an opportunity to build the tariff, at least part of the tariff, into the price. Like, we put a new chip in it, so it's $300 more. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see also.
They're going to really have to struggle with that, I think.
One of the things we really looked at it with really high quality streams is the problem in that they're very bandwidth intensive, and some over the top folks are thinking about more storage where it can trickle there's a new release coming, so we're just going to buffer a big chunk of it to you before you even get there, so that it doesn't have to wait as long. Although bandwidth right now for most Americans is fast enough that it's not as big of a deal. But if you really want to push the envelope of how good things look, and it does feel like we're kind of topping out at 4K. 8K was a thing for a minute, but
it's funny, isn't it? That 4K had that same kind of progression where there was no content. The hardware capability was there, but you could get content in NHK in Japan. But it did eventually kind of trickle out. We're still not seeing 4K in sporting events and things. But
the hard part is that 8K is 4 times harder than 4K to send, which was 4 times harder than HD. Right. And the challenge really is that number one is streamers don't make more money if you stream more things at higher resolution. So they don't like, unless they're charging you a lot more, having you have an 8K signal is not in their it doesn't help them. It's just really a lot of bandwidth. And the other thing is that it's really hard to see the difference, even for me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can see the difference between 1080 and 4K on a 75-inch screen TV. I can definitely see the difference. From 4K to 8K on a 75-inch screen TV, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to see the difference. And so, especially if you're at a normal seating, 10 feet away or 8 feet away or whatever, it's really hard to resolve that. And so I think that 8K turned out to be really good for theaters. I can definitely see it when the screen is 40 feet wide. But
are there any theaters doing 8K?
Yeah, there's an
IMAX.
IMAX is not, but there's one screen in Culver City that Amazon owns. It's one of their screens, and that screen is an 8K screen, the LED. So it's an LED 8K screen, and it is unbelievable to watch.
You've seen it.
Yeah. Semty did a thing a couple years ago where they brought everybody in, and a bunch of us went and looked at the 4K and the 8K, and LED walls in a theater is kind of amazing. Like when you go from dark to light, when they walked out into the desert, you felt like you were in the desert. like it just suddenly there's so much brightness that your body had this reaction like I'm in the desert, So it's a different experience, but audio is hard because you have to bounce the audio off the screen.
I got a piece of anonymous feedback for the other podcast to do about media stuff downstream from somebody in the sports broadcasting business who said, you got to get past this huge legacy and infrastructure and sports stuff, but the goal is, I thought this was interesting, Alex, the goal is 4K capture and the ability to distribute 1080p HDR 60 frames per second. And a lot of the 720p sports now, this person says, is already 60p, outside or 60 frames outside of the legacy distribution. And there are higher frame rate experiments for some sports. But one of the problems this person says is the quality jump between 4K cameras and 1080 cameras, even if your output is the same, is so jarring that the general feeling is that they want to minimize until they can kind of like upgrade everything to 4K, and then even if they're outputting at 1080, have the ability to do HDR and higher frame rates.
It is jarring when they use those short depth of field cameras on the field.
I know, right? The long
NFL,
lenses, and and
it's like, wow, that's
they do that in all sports now. That you see that a lot with like baseball when somebody's coming to home plate after hitting a home run, and you get that film-like experience, but it's only for that one camera. It looks great, but then you just cut back to the rest of the camera.
So it is jarring. I understand what they're saying.
Well, the hard part there is that it's very hard to get focus. So when a camera is up in the rafters at 300 feet from the field, if you give it a large chip, the focus distance will be like a half an inch.
Yeah.
And so they have to, so using smaller chips allows them to get more, to keep things, especially when people are running back and forth. Camera operators for sports are other, like barely human. Like they are
amazing work they do.
The most amazing camera operators I've ever, because they're sitting there changing, they're tracking that person, changing oftentimes zoom and focus at the same time while they're, those are on their handles and they're doing it all while they're moving. It's incredible.
Also just being aware of everything that's going on to know like where to go to get ready for the next thing. Like as a beloved tradition, every year on opening day of baseball season, I post the live video of the George Brett pine tar bat incident where they take back his home run, his game-winning home run, and he charges from the dugout. That's the one time I've ever, like, you see the theatrical, hold me back, hold me back, guys. Like, no, you could see that from both teams. They're like, this is going to get murdered if we don't restrain him. And as much as familiar as I am with that video, I'm just amazed that the camera guy knew where to put the shot, framing the shot of the umpire standing in the foreground holding the bat, the dugout with George Brett like standing there thinking what's going on, got the perfect shot of the ump going, and then George Brett coming into the foreground. You could not have directed that as fiction as well as that. The camera, the entire team did that. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's why like I'm really so impressed with how well they do these things live. I mean, I can barely, if you put a squirrel in a tree eating a nut, I can barely get the camera there in time for 5 minutes to get them to get the shot.
They're really good. I watched a documentary about F1. Imagine a car going 200 miles an hour, 6 feet away from you, and you've got to follow it all the way across from left to right. You're moving pretty fast. Those guys are nuts. Those guys are nuts. Now, I can't show this because it's a Major League Baseball video. And as everyone knows, the Major League
copyrighted broadcast is provided by the authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be used and calls of the game and it may not be used for any reason.
But I'll leave it to you. It's on the Major League Baseball YouTube channel.
I am surprised that Andy has not yet, because that's a Royals-Yankees game. I'm a little surprised that Andy has not embraced for his opening day tradition the "Here Comes the Pizza" moment from the Red Sox game where a fan throws a pizza at another fan.
That was also beautiful.
An all-timer.
Because it's one thing to say, okay, you know what? There's a tense situation of negotiation on the field where Billy Martin has like raised an issue with the umpire. Okay, but when you say, you know what? There's something happening in the stands. I bet that guy is going to
throw that pizza
at this other guy.
And then beloved color commentator Jerry Remy shouts, "Here comes the pizza!" It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is the case that when you have George Brett and Billy Martin on the field at the same time.
That it is. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing of beauty. I just wanted to say, talking about formats with Alex. Hey, formats with Alex. I think that person who wrote in to me, like I get the appeal of higher resolution, but I have to say the idea of HDR in more places and higher frame rates in more places, I think more people would notice and appreciate.
That generally almost all of the research that we've seen so far is that frame rate and color depth makes a much bigger difference than resolution. So if you're going to pick those, and they take a lot less bandwidth because making it HDR adds 10 or 20% to the stream. It doesn't add 4x, because 4K goes 4x. If you go from 60 frames a second, if you go from, most people are at 60. I mean, a lot of people are at 60 now. But if you go from 60 to 120, for instance, which we've done tests on, that's double. It's not 4x. So I've definitely had the opportunity to see 1080p at 120 versus 4K at 60, and I would take 1080p at 120 every day of them. I mean, it is so amazing. Like it is such an amazing experience.
HDR, HDR, like that's the thing that 4K. I watch like some soccer games are in 4K, and I think it's real 4K, not like Fox upscaling 4K. But the thing about it is not the 4K. The thing about it is, yes, if it's streaming and you can do the bandwidth, you're going to get more bandwidth, a better bit rate than you did at 1080. But the truth is, it's the HDR. Frame rate would be great. I'd love to see that too. But the HDR, for sports, like the shadows are darker and the colors of the uniforms are better. And like, it looks so much better.
And you see it way more in sports because they actually shade the cameras towards taking advantage of the full spectrum. When you watch HDR films, the film is kind of drab. Like most films are they're color corrected to be kind of drab. Like that's just the look that a lot of films take. So you don't really get to see HDR. When you get to see HDR is when you get sports and they turn all the dials up to, take full advantage of the range. And, and it's really, especially if you're looking at Dolby Vision where they're able to really shade that and trim it all. It's quite a thing.
I mean, early days of HD, I bought an HD TV and way before anybody should have. It was a CRT. It was a Sony Trinitron HD.
Oh my God.
It weighed 200 pounds. We had two burly men had to haul it away when we were done with it. But it was amazing. But the moments that I remember that blew me away early in the HD era were all sports, because sports benefits greatly from having those improved technologies. And then everything else, yes, movies are better in HD and TV shows are better in HD, and it all happened. But I remember the Athens Olympics, I think, and just being like, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. I can see we take it for granted now, but like talk about baseball games and things like that, you could see individual people in the crowd, and they were people where before it was like little pieces of confetti that would flicker. Like you couldn't make them out. They were just sort of crowd noise behind. And now it's like, I can see that guy's eating popcorn. So sports really benefits from this stuff, and just being able to see, like, there are Premier League teams where I've seen them play in the 4K HDR stream, and I'm like, oh, so that's the color of their jersey, because it's totally different. Like, Alex, you probably know this, but I remember we don't see color the way, like, standard HD, the Denver Broncos orange is not in the color gamut. It's not the right color. You can't see the Denver Broncos in the right orange if you watch them on TV, because it's not in the color space. And stuff like that, where you're like, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
The Dallas Cowboys, if you actually see their pants in person, they're kind of green. Like, it looks silver to the camera.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, but they had to make them green to
look right.
Snap
green undertone.
So there's this.
Wow.
There's this like bluish green, like they have in Frisco or whatever. They have all the old ones,
and they used to be silver.
They used to be silver, and then at some point they realized, the cameras need
It's like in the black and white movie days, they couldn't really use red blood because red blood didn't print well, so they used chocolate syrup.
Yeah,
which tasted good too.
Great. Hell of an after party for that one.
What, by the way, one rumor, and Ryan Christoffel refers to it in his 9 to 5 Mac article, and it's from Mark Gurman, is that there might be a camera. It's kind of a long shot.
Yeah. I mean, again, I feel like they should do it. The question is it a camera or not? Because to me, it makes sense to sell a camera as an add-on and have a way to do it, and ideally have it be attached via a cable.
To do what Nintendo's going to do, I think is brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
The other way you could do is you could reimagine the whole thing as a little thing that lives on top of your TV that is a camera and an Apple TV box, and attach it. But I feel like modular is the way to go with that.
Yeah, and because I feel like the problem is, like, a person like me, my Apple TV isn't anywhere near where I'd want to put a camera. Like, I have one Apple TV that's like in another room, like it's in my server room or whatever, and then the other ones are all like somewhere that I wouldn't want to try to figure out how to put a camera in. I think it makes way more sense to have a new Apple camera or whatever, or just make it available to webcammers. It could just be a USB-C in.
Literally USB-C.
To say nothing of the fact of to say nothing of the fact of, like, what camera can they put into the device that will still be good 2 or 3 years later?
Exactly.
We're still complaining about the built-in cameras on iMacs and on MacBooks.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, from 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. I hope they do that, though, because if you haven't had the opportunity to use it, continuity camera with a good camera sitting on your TV,
really great.
It's like you're in a science fiction movie. It looks so good, and it works with Zoom and FaceTime, and all those VoIP apps have embraced tvOS, and it's really good. It is really, they do good noise canceling, so you sound decent. Everybody else sounds decent. I do these family calls on Zoom, and it is like the thing that we all thought the future would be like. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you have legs, which is remarkable. The future has legs.
And he knows how to use them.
Actually, in those old black and white movies, they also used to wear yellow makeup because the white skin was too pale. For the
all the monster movies where they do the transformations, all they would do is like put different gels over the lens. So no, literally. So it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, some of the early werewolf transformations. It's like they put one set of like monster makeup on in one color, and then normal makeup on top of that. And then by simply changing the filter on the lens, that would block out the normal makeup and highlight the monster makeup. Yeah.
Man, it was better in the old days when you had to work around the technological limitations. Sometimes too much technology.
They still do. It's just different now. But I love people who are like, oh, special effects have ruined movies. It's like they've been doing special effects since there have been movies.
So long.
It's all a trick.
The one constant is studios and creators who are like, nah, it's not worth the effort. I can use this and it'll solve all my problems. Done and done.
Well, and I was watching something random from the Eastman House talking about the history of photography, and they were talking about the fact that, for a long time, if you wanted a portrait, someone came and painted it. Of you.
Wow.
And it was expensive, and only the rich people could have it and everything else. And then suddenly these crazy kids with these cameras, and everybody could have a portrait. Like, they were like, the whole industry's ruined because everybody now can do it.
There were people in the 19th century who were itinerant painters who would go around and do portraits of you. In fact, I have one in my library over here of my great whatever grandfather from the 1830s. It was painted by an itinerant portrait artist.
Yeah.
And
that had a big effect on culture. There was there's a sculpture that I'm a big fan of that I've been studying for a long time in Boston, where there was uproar in 1896 because they thought that this nymph was drunk, and part of the reason why
that's right.
And part of the reason why was because she's smiling and showing her teeth, which is not something because. Everything was like if people saw me for a portrait, they would be very, very formal and very.
She also
very
had a bunch
elegant.
of grapes and some guy behind her fooling around. So who knows what?
She was also nude, yes, but I'm saying
who knows what was going on?
Well, but that was part of it. It was like if you saw someone depicted like in a broad, actual happy smile as opposed to posing very, very stiff even for a photograph. It's like, oh well, they're unrestrained in emotion because they must be drunk.
No one would dream of smiling and for a portrait. Exactly. We will take a little break. When we come back, breaking news. Mark Gurman's Sunday newsletter has been replaced by something that came out this morning about Apple Intelligence. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. You're watching MacBreak Weekly with Andy Andco, Alex Lindsay, Jason Snell, the whole crew in town. Our show today brought to you by, speaking of living in the future, Spaceship. Here's a question for you. Why do we assume the words simple and affordable mean basic and, just for beginners? Tech professionals want to save time and money too, right? That's the idea behind Spaceship, the pioneering domain and web platform that takes the pain out of choosing, purchasing, and managing domain names and web products. Things like shared hosting, virtual machines, and business email. And I got to tell you, I have never seen a better user interface. You could see it right now when you go to spaceship.com/twit. This is incredible. And so many nice features. Besides below market prices for domain registration and renewals, you can save money there. But it doesn't feel like a kind of low rent district. Man, Spaceship has some pretty fresh ways to deliver simplicity. There's Unbox, which connects your Spaceship products to your domain and makes it so simple, configuring it all in just a few steps. And if you've ever done domain management, it's tricky, but fortunately, Alf is there for you. Hi, Alf, your very own AI assistant for making life easy, from domain transfers to updating DNS records. Alf does the stuff you probably don't love. Even if you're a pro. I mean, I could do my own DNS, but Alf made it so much easier. Plus, Spaceship is new, so there is a roadmap. You can help them become even better. Their roadmap will help you explore, suggest, and vote on new features and products they're considering, so you as customers in the tech community get exactly what you really need. Look at the prices on the domains, too. They're fantastic. I had to say, as soon as I saw Spaceship, ran in there and said, let me get a few domain names. Plus, makes it very easy for you to set up a site, to set up email. They have excellent email. They've got virtual private servers, so you can run your own server off of there at a really good price. Visit spaceship.com/twit. Take a look at the exclusive deals on domains and more. Spaceship.com/twit. This is a new and better way to get your domains and set up your web site or your hosting site or your email. Spaceship.com/twit. We thank them so much for supporting MacBreak Weekly. And you support us when you use that address. And make sure you use that address, spaceship.com/twit. I was going to go with the leak that maybe iPhone 17 Pro will be available in sky blue, but no. No, I have an even better story. Mark Gurman this morning, right before the show, Mike Rockwell is now moving in, as you know, to run Siri. And he is bringing in people from the old team, the Vision Pro team. This is Mark Gurman. Apple's new Siri engineering chief is overhauling the management team leading development of the beleaguered voice assistant. Mike Rockwell, who was running Vision Pro, is starting to bring in his own people over from Vision Pro. I don't know if that's good for Vision Pro, but who knows? John Giandrea, who was the highly touted guy from Google that Apple brought in to run AI, is kind of off in the desert now. He's still at Apple, I guess. Still an EVP, but still on the leadership.
He's still in charge of AI and machine learning research
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff, but he's not in charge of Siri.
That's
right?
the key. Yeah.
Because Siri is a product that needs to ship and be good.
Yeah. Fixing Siri, Gurman writes, has become one of the highest profile challenges at Apple. The Siri's been sucky for a long time, so maybe he has brought in Ranjit Desai, a longtime deputy from Vision Pro. He'll be in charge of Siri's engineering. Rockwell told staffers, according to Gurman, that the executive's background in high-performance, low-latency systems would help Siri reach a new level. Oliver Gutknecht, a senior Vision Pro software executive, taking over the team in charge of the user experience. Nate Begman and Tom Duffy joining the Siri team to run underlying architecture. Wow, he's really brought in a lot of people.
Yeah.
Stuart Bowers, who has led data training and evaluation teams, will get an expanded role working on Siri's ability to figure out how to respond to a user. David Winarski, a longtime Siri leader, taking over new group responsible for all voice and speech-related components. This is an all-hands-on-deck moment for Siri, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. They finally got there, right? What we've been saying for a long time, it seems like the 1-2 punch of all the Apple Intelligence failures and Siri in general being kind of bad and broken and behind seems to have finally led to a breaking point. And it does seem like, based on some reports, Tim Cook's a little conflict averse. He kind of wants his senior managers to fix
Work it out.
which I get it. I totally get that. That should be the case. But I think in this case, there was a lot of, territorialism, as well as a lot of like, I got it, you take it kind of going on. And now he finally clearly has come in and said, okay, Siri over there, fix it, to a guy who is pretty trusted and has proven to ship things and get those products out the door. And we can talk about like the Vision Pro strategy and all that, but like that's an amazing product and they shipped it, and that's due to that team. And so turning them on this is a real challenge for them, right? Because this is a problem, as you said, Leo. It's not like Siri was good 3 years ago, and like Siri has been broken for a very long time.
It actually got worse, though. I will admit it, but it wasn't good to begin with.
Yep. Yeah.
Earlier this year, engineering and quality issues forced Apple to postpone the release of Apple App Intents from May to April. By March, the company delayed the trio of features indefinitely in a rare retreat, these Siri upgrades. In an internal meeting the prior head of Siri told staffers the system didn't work properly as often as a third of the time. Yeah, that's about right. He said employees may feel, quote, embarrassed due to the, quote, ugly situation. Yikes.
Yeah.
No more embarrassment. This is something they're probably going to talk about next month, right? Or in June for, I would guess, for WWDC, but they're not going to admit to this. What are they going to say?
Yeah, this is probably the second WWDC in a row in which Apple has to make a big show to not just developers, but to users, to analysts, to the job market, to researchers, that they do have a plan for Apple Intelligence. That was like unveiling the plan, for AI. That was the big deal last year's WWDC. This year, they have to convince people that their future plan going forward is to not magnify the intensity of how they step on rakes inside the Apple campus, that they're actually going to do productive things that actually work. It's not, this isn't, I wonder if part of the pressure to make sure that they don't solve this problem by half measures is all of the dogpiling bad press they got in the past 6 weeks, which were just impossible to wave away, impossible to pretend as though, oh, well, gosh, that's just a couple of dissatisfied people who are just sort of leaking things that they shouldn't be leaking about. We'll have an all-hands meeting and reassure people that, no, this is absolutely, it's not just, I've just finished like reading Gurman's article about this, and like, you're absolutely right. This isn't just, oh, well, we moved a few people from one department to another. No, this is more like they took people off of really important projects to, this is how you know that this is considered to be a very important project, when they're willing to stifle to an extent development of iOS itself, and also to divide the attention of someone who's working on Apple's betting the future on a product, Vision Pro. Hopefully that means that, they figured out that whatever our plan was before, it's not working. We need a brand new game plan. We can't just add some chapters to the old one.
Gurman writes, Gianandrea remains Apple's head of artificial intelligence, reporting directly to Cook. He oversees core AI initiatives, including large language model development, infrastructure teams, and testing operations. Those are admittedly very important, as well as a measurement group focused on improving AI performance. Robbie Walker, former head of Siri, still reports to Gianandrea and remains, this is an interesting way to put it, involved.
Involved. He's around.
Involved.
He's involved and committed.
Involved,
Although,
possibly polishing his resume, but...
Yeah.
Looking forward to spending more time with his family and his many charitable endeavors.
Yeah. Although, and this is kind of the key point of this whole paragraph, he lost hundreds of engineers to Rockwell.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, this is a takeover. The house on fire metaphor, I mean, that's about right? Like, this is a high priority for them. And Leo, you ask, what do we do at WWDC? What are we looking for there? What are they going to say?
Yeah.
My guess is that one of the things that they're doing, the new group coming in, Rockwell and his team, is saying, what's our quick win? And by quick win, I think basically it's what can we announce at WWDC that we are certain we can ship in the next cycle? What do we got? And that is, they've probably been doing a lot of triage. They've been talking to engineers, bypassing those old managers and saying, like, what do you have? What state of affairs is everything? Because you probably need, like Gurman keeps talking about, oh, well, they want to do an LLM Siri and it's not going to, and he's always like, it's not going to be available for 2 years. It's been like not available for 2 years, now. And so I feel like that is obviously got to be a priority, but, if it's going to take that long, you got to find, I don't want to call it the low-hanging fruit, but you've got to find the parts of this, the aspects of what's going on with Siri that you can get. Again, a quick win, low-hanging fruit are probably not right, but something you can ship that's appreciably better that you can do by spring of next year and announce it at WWDC and not have to apologize the following spring for failing to ship it. And that's tough. I don't know what's there. And it's not like his new team has got, oh, well, let's just do nose to the grindstone for the next 2 months and then we'll have everything. Like, it takes time. So I don't envy them at all having to do that, but I do think that that's what they're going to do, is find out what we can ship, not, what can we show in June and ship by next March that is decent. What do we have? What is the line from Apollo 13? What do we got that's good?
But
that's important.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Because a year ago they announced stuff they didn't and couldn't ship.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something that has to be good.
It's the Ed Harris moment.
And just very quickly, Jason, I think you're absolutely right, because it's not just about, there's also a question of internal morale. This is a team that has been tarred with nothing but failure, despite working extremely hard about a project that I'm sure that initially they were
Steve Jobs would have let them go.
Yeah, exactly. But the part of it is that we have to give also our team a win, that you are building something that is successful. Even if you achieve a small success on something that's a stepping stone to something else, here's something that you can have tangible results of being proud of having done this. That, I think, is really, really important for the team right now.
Yeah, and the hard part is that there's no quick fix. So this is going to take time for them to figure out. They basically probably have to grind the thing almost to the ground and start building up from it. And so I think that the challenge is always, we're hoping that Apple doesn't panic and just try to keep on clopping things onto something that is kind of half baked, and just really have Rockwell go in and look at it from the ground up and say, we're going to keep this going. Maybe we add a couple little things to keep people happy, but we're really going to rewrite the entire basis of how this thing works, because I think that's what's necessary for it to really work. It's just, there's a lot of fundamental foundational problems with Siri that will always be a problem unless they just start over on a relatively clean slate.
Yeah. And Jason, there's some conversation going on in our Club Twit Discord about why not use OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Claude, or some other.
And Gurman reported that apparently Craig Federighi, the head of software, has said, no sacred cows. We can use that stuff if we need to. And the question is, what does that mean? Does that mean? And there's a lot of theories out there about that. Does that mean they'd put somebody else's model directly attached to their OS? Does it mean that they would use those models to help train their models? Does it mean that they might make it sort of a modular system where Apple builds features and you can use Apple's LLM, or you could use maybe other LLMs to do that kind of thing? Are we talking in the cloud? Are we talking on device? Do you have to register? Do you have to pay? Like, there's lots of questions out there, but one argument is a quick win. And this is coming back to a quick win for the new Siri group. A quick win is to use existing LLMs that are good and offload more, optionally perhaps, but offload more to them. And I mean, I have talked to people who say, I literally, everything I say now is, ahoy, lady, ask ChatGPT to do this thing. because you just want to bypass the lady entirely and just go to ChatGPT. I'm like, well, that's probably not great. Like, last year was all like, oh, well, you can do ChatGPT, but we won't make you. That would be a quick win to say, you got a favorite LLM? Boom, it's in there. You select it, you log in, we got it, we made deals with everybody, you're good. So according to Gurman, that Federighi was like, let's not do that. And you could feel how careful they were at WWDC last year, because they're like, we know you're all scared of LLMs. And this year it's like, actually,
you're not that
people
scared.
like them. They're not that scared, and it makes us look bad. So we're going to let them, and they may even overcompensate. Who knows? But like, that's the answer. Is that last year it felt taboo, and this year they have said no, it's fine. So we'll see. It
strikes me also that one of the things that the current crop of AI companies are realizing is that it takes a huge amount of server capacity to even answer these questions. A couple of days ago, Sam Altman at OpenAI said, yeah, every time you thank ChatGPT, it costs us tens of millions of dollars for all the thank yous. Yeah. Because even responding to a thank you takes server capacity.
ChatGPT should always finish its answer with, and I'll take my question off the air.
Yeah, really. Yeah. But the point being, maybe Apple found it more difficult than it thought to do these local servers, right? To build out all this capacity, especially now.
That's possible. Although I mean, they've got the ability to do a lot of that. I think what it comes down to, and this goes back to Gianandrea, and there are stories that like Gianandrea wanted a lot of hardware that they didn't buy, and that Luca Maestri said you can't have that many, and then Apple said that's not true. They did get everything they want eventually, which sounds to me like it is true, and they slow played them, and they wanted it all now, and they got it over 2 or 3 years instead. So that is about building Apple models. And I think that is one of the core things here is there are models now in the Discord. People are saying like, well, Apple doesn't like using other people's tech. And it's true, but they're playing for time in a way, because one of the problems is their models are behind and they need to get up to speed. And that's what Gianandrea's group is supposed to be doing, is make Apple's AI models better. And so that they can use them, and they can use them in private cloud compute, and they can use them on device. But in the meantime, other people have good models, use them. And I think that's the part that's broken. Long term, I'm sure they don't want to use them. But
there's a total precedent for this. Microsoft, in the same boat, had its own models, but ended up making a $10 billion deal with OpenAI to provide Copilot. And now down the road a little bit, they're starting to move back to their own models. But that was, I think, a very similar situation where ChatGPT surprised everybody.
Yeah, and there haven't been any reports of this, but Apple has all the money, right? Let's not forget, Apple has all the money.
They can afford it. Yeah.
And so I know there's a lot of stuff going on with Apple and tariffs and products, and we'll see how it all goes. But like, if you're open to using other people's models, there are very few problems money can't solve. Whether it's giving OpenAI money it's giving Perplexity money. Whether you buy them or
Buy
you just
Perplexity.
rent them,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter. If you're open to the idea of a strategic partnership where you can write a check and solve a problem that is critical to your business, even though it's you going to another company for help and that hurts your pride a little bit, I feel like Apple is at the point where they're probably ready to do that. I don't know if they will. There may be hang-ups with some of those companies, but certainly that has to be on the table on top of all of this other stuff. And an example would be make a deal with OpenAI or Perplexity or something like that, or Google even, where some money changes hands. That means that users can use those models without, doing 10 searches and being told you can't search anymore for another month. Like they're like, no, we'll pay for some of your searches and we're going to enable that for iOS and this is part of our deal. Like if it comes down, now that they've gotten over the no other LLMs thing, if they need to write a check, they should, and probably they will.
I wonder if Google's off the table given their trouble with the FTC. They've lost two trials, monopoly trials. And in some ways they've been, it looks like they might have to sell Chrome.
Kind of. It's still a long way to the Supreme
spending
Court.
a lot of money getting Samsung to put Gemini on their phones.
I feel like Google is on the table as an option, right? Like they've always been talking about, like, in addition to ChatGPT, you will be able to run Google. I think that they're unlikely to say, we just made a deal with Google. Google's going to have all of our stuff. Plus, it's your arch competitor. At best, it levels the playing field with Android instead of potentially giving you a leg up.
Which is very good, focused on safety. Doesn't have the baggage that OpenAI or Google have.
It's right there.
Places out there. You could make an acquisition. I'm sure the Perplexity's price is going up, but I'm sure Apple has enough money to buy it.
The danger is that if you ask John G. and Andrea, do we need to buy Perplexity? He'll say, no, we can do that here.
We can do it.
The problem is how many years go by where you hear him say that and he hasn't delivered. And I don't know the internals there, but like that's the problem. Is nobody is ever going to say, yeah, you should buy the people out there who are beating me at my job and use them to replace me. Nobody's ever going to say that. So that's where Tim Cook has to have other advisors he's listening to who are accurately gauging whether Apple can catch up. I feel like there are lots of signs that this is more commoditized and that if you put in enough money, which Apple has, and give them a couple of years, they are going to be able to catch up. If that's not true and you're Tim Cook, you should spend that money and buy somebody else and bring them in and have them be your AI model. That's what you should do.
There are a couple of government problems with that kind of just in general with AI. Number one, Apple has the most powerhouse checkbook in the industry, but will the FTC allow a big $3 trillion company to simply buy out like one of the major top AI companies? And secondly, even like for their progress in producing things inside Apple, how a lot of the talent that they need are residents of countries other than the United States. And it's going to get more and more difficult to bring that talent into the United States. And it's going to, even if they can bring them in, it's going to become harder and harder to convince the people that they're going after that it's okay, come here, buy property,
Apple has a lot of history.
Family, you will not be thrown out after on 2 weeks' notice.
Apple has a lot of history buying international companies and leaving the people where they are, though. I think that, and in this environment, I think that's what they have to do. If they're buying a company and it's not in the United States, I think they would probably say, you stay right where you are and it's fine. Like the Logic or the Final Cut developers, the Logic Pro developers are still in Germany, and they were a purchase like forever ago, and they're still in Germany. So I feel like they could get over that. But it is, I mean, FTC. Who knows what the FTC is going to do these days? And if it was something like Perplexity and not OpenAI, then would that be different? I don't know. I think that's a really interesting question is, do they think this is something that they can truly catch up on? And the DeepSeek thing makes me think that maybe they can do that. But I also, the fact that they haven't makes me concerned that they just don't have the culture or the skill. And one way to get the culture in is to buy some company that has a good culture for doing this and say, you are now our AI ML culture.
I think that the biggest obstacle isn't money or time or whatever. It is this aversion to risk and not wanting to give the wrong answers. And I think that is what it feels like. Like when you play with Image Playground, you just feel like you are in a tiny, as someone who does a lot of image prompts in ChatGPT and Midjourney and so on and so forth, you just feel like you're in this tiny little sandbox that we just don't want you to touch anything that might look even remotely sharp. And you're just like, okay. Like, I'll go back to what I was doing. And so, so I think that Apple's like overarching, this is where they get hurt in a lot of places. They do great and a lot of people use them and they feel safe inside that walled garden, but they're so careful to not have any thorns on any roses that they just can't quite get to a place where they could do this effectively. So I think that opening it up more for users who are already using ChatGPT or Anthropic or whatever, making it easier for us to use. Because right now I just do, hey Shlomo, start chat, and I'm in. Like it just opens up a text thing with ChatGPT. Thanks to a listener here told me how to do that, and just a shortcut. And I do that all the time.
I don't think anybody could do as good a job of characterizing me as Image Playground has just done.
Right.
That looks exactly.
And it's got all these photos of us. Here's the worst part is
I gave it a photo.
I know. No, but
it only takes one.
I know.
Now cover your left eye and read the third line from the bottom, please.
This is a great example. Photos has thousands.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Alex is right. There is, and this shows you how they rushed this. Is Photos has an entire face identification model.
It could make it look just like
huge amounts of data of what your face is like, and Image Playgrounds does not use it. It doesn't use more than one image as a base. It is because they slapped it together in a short amount of time. That's why, right?
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, because what it could be doing in the background is building models of all your friends and all your family and everything else on your phone or whatever whatever that is.
Using the Faces database.
Using the Faces database that's already there. Just grab all that data and make it so that you could do funny things with those all the time. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Can you read that bottom line? Let's put a sunset in. Why not? Well, that wasn't much of a sunset. Yeah, this is I can't imagine anybody plays with Image Playground and thinks, oh yeah, that's what I've been looking for.
Yeah, it's a toy. It's a fun toy.
You use it if you don't have something else. Like you have something else and you're like, oh, it's kind of cool, or whatever. But as soon as you have,
but this is because of risk aversion. You nailed it. This is because they don't want to take a chance,
right? And they put the little borders around them so that you absolutely know that it's
it's fake,
and you're just like, okay.
Meanwhile, people are putting out deep fakes like crazy. We're somehow surviving. Did you know I invented the peanut? Anyway, George Washington Laporte. I'm looking crazier and crazier. I think they giving me cross eyes. That's nice. Thank you. Okay, let's take a break. I can't take it.
That's a great idea.
Alex Lindsay, good to have you. Andy Andco, wonderful to have you back. Jason Snell, the MacBreak Weekly team is assembled as we continue in just a bit. But first, a word from our sponsor. This show brought to you quite literally. Oh, no, wait a minute. Yeah, brought to you quite literally. I had to check by who's bringing us. CashFly. CashFly, that's who, ladies and gentlemen. CashFly is the secret that means that you will never have to suffer with slow connections or paused downloads. It is a miracle. It is our content delivery network for over, I think, 20 years now, CashFly, and we've been using it for 15. So, CashFly has been delivering high-performing, ultra-reliable content delivery, serving over 5,000 companies in over 80 countries, including, I might add, us. We are very happy to be CashFly customers. There are a couple of things we like about CashFly. It's the only CDN built for throughput with ultra-low latency video streaming, which this is mind-boggling, deliver content to over 1 million concurrent users with less than 1 second latency. Now, if you're a gaming company, you got to know about CashFly because CashFly delivers downloads faster with zero lag, glitches, or outages. Mobile content optimization means if you've got images You're going to love CacheFly's automatic and simple image optimization. So those images load faster on any size screen, any size device. Plus, the thing that was important to us with CacheFly, we were just starting out. We didn't know what our bandwidth needs were going to be. It was very peaky. But CacheFly gave us flexible month-to-month billing till we figured it all out, and then discounts for fixed terms once we understood what our needs were. The point is, they let us design our own contract, and they will let you design your own contract when you switch to CacheFly. CacheFly is now leveraging the capabilities of something they call Pure Storage. Oh, wait a minute, that's a company. Yeah, they're an IT pioneer that delivers the world's most advanced data storage technology and services to drive performance reliability, flexible scalability, and predictable pricing for customers. So they're replacing, I think I've noticed this actually, the legacy systems with Pure Storage's cutting-edge technology. CacheFly has achieved a 5x boost in compute power and reduced power consumption by nearly 90%, slashing operating expenses while enhancing delivery speeds for customers worldwide. That's pretty sweet. The big modernization effort going on right now for CacheFly as the company prepares to further enhance its object storage solution. That's the innovative offering that promises to redefine how businesses manage, store, and scale unstructured data with unparalleled speed and reliability. CacheFly is not resting on its laurels. They are improving all the time. That's what we love about them. 15 years, they're just getting started. CacheFly delivers rich media content up to 158% faster than other major CDNs. And this is something we've done for some time. They now allow everybody to shield your site content in the CacheFly cloud, which means you're going to get 100% cache hit ratio. And with CacheFly's Elite Managed packages, I could tell you for sure, you get VIP treatment. You'll have a dedicated account manager who will be with you from day one, ensuring smooth implementation and a reliable 24/7 support when you need it. Learn how you can get your first month free at cachefly.com/twit. You've heard me say it for many years. Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com/twit. Thank you, CacheFly. You have made a huge difference in my life and made really a lot of what's happened over the last 20 years possible. CacheFly.com/twit. You could thank them by going there. Thank you, CacheFly. Apple Watch Ultra 3. More rumors about the next generation Apple Watch, including 5G cellular and perhaps satellite messaging. Again, Ryan Christoffel on 9 to 5 Mac. I love my Apple Watch Ultra. I guess we're due. It would be in the fall, right? That would be 2 years between releases, yes?
Yeah, they did. The first was at 1 year, and then they skipped last year. So this would be a reasonable time to do it.
Yeah.
I love as somebody who uses an Apple Watch cellular and leaves my phone behind, the idea that you could have a cellular Apple Watch with satellite support and 5G support, so you're going to cover a bunch of bands of the cellular spectrum and have that emergency when you're out out in the wilderness, and you could have it all on your watch, even if your phone is not with you. I just think that's really cool. I think that's a cool idea for what is supposed to be an adventure watch. The idea that you could literally be out there doing an adventure with just your Apple Watch and you would be fine. That's pretty sweet.
Do you think it'll be just the Ultra that will go 5G, or will all be?
Well, the rumor is about the Ultra. 5G might be on the main ones too. Just depends, I would imagine, on the size and cost of the part.
Well, that's the advantage of the Ultra.
And the power management, because it's got a lot of battery in there too. I don't think there are any suggestions that the satellite features would come to the main one, and that it actually kind of fits the whole premise of this being a big, a little pricier and adventure watch, right? That's where you want those features, is when you're out of cell contact entirely.
Yeah. I haven't. Now, Ryan, in his article, says he notices how slow the Apple Watch's cellular connection is. I have not noticed that, but he says he's unlikely to want to use it for messaging and stuff, that 5G will make a big difference. Is that your experience as well,
yeah.
Jason?
Yeah, I think so.
It's a little slow right now.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know where Ryan is versus where I am.
He's in New York.
I'm not actively using my cellular connection a lot. It's more that it's there, and that if it needs to sync or if somebody calls me or texts me, I get them. But I'm not like
I rarely leave the house without a phone.
But I do.
But maybe I would.
Every day when I walk the dog, I do it without my iPhone.
You do.
It's just I just don't want the phone in my pocket, and I have a cellular watch and and AirPods, and it works great for me. So it's a choice to do it that way, but that's. And the advantage of that is that if you're somewhere your phone isn't and something happens, you're still connected if you've got the watch.
And I have to admit, as an Apple Watch skeptic early on, I am now 100% all in. I mean, I love it.
It's not a lot of other good choices. I mean, there's other watches, but it's pretty.
Andy, do you wear an Android watch?
I have one, but
No, you wear Casio. That's right.
Yeah, like I said, I'm really interested in the new Pebble Watch because the breaking point for me is I can't be counted on to put the thing on a charger each and every night. It's not that I'm lazy. It's just that, sometimes I'm working at my desk and I just want to take this thing off and put it next to the keyboard, and then I leave it there and just go to bed, and then dang it, I have to leave in 30 minutes for whatever it is. Right. And rather than grab the charger, I'll just simply, here's an analog watch or whatever that is already working. And after doing that enough times, I realized I really didn't miss it. And I was an Apple Watch SE user for like 9 or 10 months. And the same is true, by the way, about the Pixel Watch, which I love the design of it. I think it's actually prettier than the Apple Watch, but exact same thing. Mostly I'm using a watch to tell the time. Sometimes it's nice when I'm having a busy day to be able to quickly glance at a notification and realize that, no, I don't have to take my phone out of my pocket. But it's just not doing enough for me to justify A, $300, and B, the burden of, again, having to remember to charge.
Can you buy your groceries with that Casio?
I can't. There actually are some G-Shocks that are like $250 that are 1 week battery life and have a lot of those basic features without necessarily being like a run apps on this thing, color display, win awards for your activity sort of stuff. But even so, like I actually have like a little. I actually have a little like chart, a little Omni Outliner doc of if I'm not going to spend $300 on a smartwatch, if I have a $300 watch budget, like what would I want to get instead that would total up to $300? And it's a list of like 3 or 4 like really kind of like cool, interesting, fun, and one dress watch that I'd be like, ooh, a Seiko Series 5 would be kind of nice, and then I could also have the. So yeah, but that's just me. I have to say that if I were to like. I have to say the Ultras, particularly the specs of this new Ultra 3, if they come true, are the sort of thing that would like sort of draw me back in because, like Jason says, the number of times where I walk, I'm going to be out for like 2 or 3 hours running errands. I don't actually need my phone except for to take pictures. All I need is like emergency contacts and maybe the ability to, and of course, tap to pay. And that's a nice looking watch. It looks like it won't break after 3 months. It's pretty.
This has been very robust. I don't have a scratch on this thing. This thing's been really, really tough. I really like it. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll watch with interest. There'll be something to watch in September. Gosh knows how much more it'll cost. One stock analyst is saying now, get out of Apple. Run for your lives while you still can. Not that we care that much about stock prices. I don't think that's really our beat, but sell Apple stock before it sinks another 30%, says Moffat Nathanson.
Not financial advice, yes.
Yeah, we're not giving you that advice. In fact, if you look at the Apple stock, this was when the tariffs were announced and it plunged, but it's kind of working its way back up. I think it was over 200 again earlier today in the intraday. It's up 2.94%, so it's doing all right.
Yeah, I did read that advisory this morning or whatever. And I was, again, because I'm not like a financial like reporter, it's every time I see something like that, it's like in the back of my mind, it's okay, what major fund or major player really, really wants this stock to tank so that they can buy it at a certain level?
Yeah.
And that's something that I always have to think about when it comes to like financial stock predictors like that. And sometimes they are the money, but it's like, okay.
And I don't think anybody on this panel has Apple stock. I know I don't, right. And nope. I know Jason doesn't.
But it's different. It's different when like Bank of America is saying we are dumping Apple stock now because they don't really necessarily have the same I don't know. Again, I'm talking above my my pay level here again, so I'm stopping before I say anything else.
I have stopped looking at my portfolio. I don't want to. I can't afford to.
It really is like riding in an Uber, where if I'm scrutinizing this person's driving moment by moment, I'm going to be terrified.
Yeah.
If I simply sit back and trust that in 43 minutes time, I will be at the train station with my life intact, it'll be okay.
If your retirement is a few years off, it's probably prudent not to pay any attention. Unfortunately, I'm right in the middle of my retirement right now, and so I'm just thinking, okay, I hope this twit thing works out. I'd like to keep making a living. Wow. It's a little scary. Don't panic. Right. Thank you, Paul. In our YouTube chat says, don't panic. That's probably a good advice in general. Well, I'm not giving you stock advice. Don't listen to us. Apple did drop. I don't know if this is.
Don't take advice from someone who's wearing like a $23 Casio watch. Okay.
That's right. Well, that's one of the reasons. I don't know if I should buy financial advice, go to a financial advisor. If the guy's that good, what's he doing working for a living? Right? And if he had a Casio watch,
you've got to be in the game.
Got to be in the game, man. National Advertising Division, whoever they are, has recommended that Apple modify or discontinue the Apple Intelligence claim they have now dropped available now. Yeah. from the Apple Intelligence page. I can't believe they still had it. NAD inquired. They're part of the Better Business Bureau's advertising stuff. So, when there's a little wait when they say, Apple, you probably shouldn't say it's available now.
Yeah. They're also facing a couple of lawsuits, which were inevitable anyway. But there's it's not as though people are necessarily scrambling to buy iPhones because of Apple Intelligence at this point. I don't think they need to really force that. Although they did have a couple of was it one or more than one new YouTube ad about someone using generative emoji to create a dating profile or whatever. So it's not as though they've decided to not promote Apple Intelligence at all.
Yeah. So. Apple found also that Apple included its AI supercharged Siri beneath the available now heading, even though, as we all know, the supercharged Siri has not arrived. Apple said, no, we updated our promotional material and disclosures to adequately communicate their status. Apparently, there's a small footnote saying coming someday. The company also discontinued its more personal Siri video. That's the Bella Ramsey video. We know about that. Apple said, we disagree with NAD's findings related to the features that are available to new users now, but we appreciate the opportunity to work with them and will follow their recommendations. We disagree, but we're going to do it anyway. Okay.
Our customers love our Apple Intelligence ads, and we're pleased to tell them that our next one, we think, is our best Apple Intelligence ad, and we'd like to share it with you now.
Yes. Any other rumors you think that are worth spending some energy on?
Well, you blew right past that Blue Vision Pro.
I just did. It was a one-liner. Sky Blue. When Apple Insider rates a rumor as maybe. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Sky Blue. Now they point out that the leak came from China. Ma Jinbu. He claims to have the details on the exclusive color that is expected to debut with the flagship Apple phone this fall. The leaker says it'll be available in Yuanfeng Blue, which is sky blue. Which would, I guess, look like this. Would it be? I mean, I wouldn't call the M4 MacBook Air sky blue, not from the one I saw in your hands, Jason Snell. They did. I understand.
Sky gray. It's nice.
Sky blue gray. Yeah.
Although there was one rumor-ish story that I thought was hysterically funny. There's someone posted videos from an actual Apple store in China where they're showing customers an aluminum model of the supposed iPhone 16 Air. iPhone 17
This is what
Air.
It's going to look like.
And not just hey, I've just snuck this onto the floor. It's no, this is, if you want to compare the upcoming iPhone 17 Air with the iPhone 16 Pro and not buy the actual phone that's actually shipping right now in favor of something that.
Yeah.
It seems
But
like
now,
there's gonna
was
be a
this an
demo.
official Apple store or just some Chinese store that sells Apple? That's unclear.
That's unclear. And that's a good call out because there's a bunch of like Apple stores. I think Jason and I visited one in Bermuda that is not an Apple store, but
an
it
actual
looks
Apple store.
but it looks all the way down to the details
It's
like
an
an Apple store.
aspirational Apple store.
Yeah.
Aspirational Apple. It's a Potemkin Apple store.
This is also Majin Buu. In China, stores using the CAD models I provided to show people how. So, in other words, he brought this into the store and it looks probably his hands. I don't think this is proof positive that Apple is showing this to anybody.
No, I don't. I would never think that Apple was doing it.
No.
It just made me amused that someone, according to the story itself, claiming that it was actually people who work at that Apple store who were showing it off. The idea of like them missing a certain training video that they probably should have had to watch, saying that, don't.
Also, is this a store or a kiosk in a mall? Because I could see a hot dog stand right behind her head. So
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly where this is. Anyway,
I did mention this to the story because again, I thought the comedy value.
yeah. Well, this is
I'm hysterically
like I said, we're in the rumor portion of the program, and I did ask you. I said, give me some rumors. Let's see some rumors here. The Vision Air are they really calling it the Vision Air? Mac Rumors is using that.
Come on,
man.
I mean, there is this rumor. The Vision Pro rumors are something. I feel like they're working on a bunch of different hardware options, and they haven't settled on anything. And everything comes out with this breathless, like, oh, this is the next thing they're doing. They're going to make, or it's the one after the next one they're doing. And, they show hardware and they're like, oh, look, that looks sort of like a thing that's in Vision Pro. It's like, it could be. I doubt that it's from a production model. It feels more like they're just trying things out and seeing what they would be like and all of that. I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of heat about rumors of precisely what a next Vision OS product would look like. But if somebody wants to get excited that it might be darker or something, like, I guess go ahead. But the one that blew me away, and I don't know if you guys talked about this last week or not, you probably did, but I love that Mark Gurman broke the news that they're trying to make the Vision Pro cheaper and lighter. Yeah. Great idea, guys. No
Maybe.
Kidding. No,
they were saying maybe they'll use titanium instead of aluminum.
Great. I mean, I have no doubt that they are trying to make the Vision Pro cheaper and lighter. Like,
that seems almost certain.
Those are the two things you need to do. So get on it.
A lot of the other stuff is working pretty well. It's just weighted cost.
Yeah, make it cheaper and lighter.
I'll buy it if it's cheaper and lighter.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Yep. Apple has finally won its long-standing battle with the city of Cupertino.
Was it a battle? I thought it was a battle between the state and the city. Like I think that Apple did it on purpose to funnel money to Cupertino, and then the court said that
you can't do that.
So
Apple was saying every phone sold in California was sold from Cupertino. So the sales
by mail,
tax,
I think.
Oh, by mail. Okay. Yeah. So which makes sense. It probably was. Which the deal. This is since 1998. Apple's treated all online purchases of products within California as if they were made in the city of Cupertino. The deal allows Cupertino to collect 1% of Apple's 7.25% sales tax. By the way, we're over 10% here in Petaluma. So Apple, if you want to open a little drop ship in Petaluma, a third of the revenue ended up being returned to the company because the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, known colloquially as CUDFA, audited the city and determined that the state should get that revenue. Instead, the city needed to pay back any previously collected sales tax dollars. Apple was going to set aside, Cupertino was prepared to set aside $56.6 million. That's a lot from a little city like Cupertino to pay back the amount. Then they reached a settlement with CUDFA. It is not called CUDFA, but it should be. Allowed Cupertino to keep the roughly $74.5 million in Apple sales tax revenue it had collected, but they did give Apple back 12 point some million.
I don't understand that case at all, because it's like, why did they not give it to the state? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm sure Apple wasn't like banging down the door for the money. You know,
we need that $12 million now, Cupertino.
They charge the user for it. Like it's not like the money that Apple, like, you know, it's in that little tax thing when you buy it. Like it
is a windfall for any city. You know, I know from our little town in Petaluma where they have turned away the big box stores that we are suffering with potholes because there's no tax base because they wouldn't allow these big sales tax revenue generating businesses in town.
Well, they got to figure it out. But what I will say is,
I'm sure it's a benefit for Cupertino to have Apple Computer headquartered there.
Petaluma has done well. I don't know. I'm surprised that they're having trouble with taxes. It just feels like it's the nicest downtown and
it is. It's cute, isn't it?
North of San Francisco.
Yeah. Just don't make sure you have a good suspension when you drive here. We're the pothole capital of California, they say. Did you come up for the Butter and Eggs Day parade on Saturday?
I didn't. I forgot about it. I should. When I lived there, I went there every single time. I got pictures of my kids.
It feels like everybody in California came. It has become a crazy zoo. It used to be just such a small town parade that the parade would go all the way through the downtown and then come loop around. And I always felt like people watching the parade on its first pass would then jump in back to keep the parade going, so that because there weren't enough people to both watch the parade and be in the parade, so they were sharing duties. That is not the case anymore. You can barely move downtown during Butter and Eggs Day.
Yeah, it's been hectic.
It's cray-cray.
Yeah.
So we don't need you, Apple. We've got butter and eggs.
They just need to tax the butter and eggs, and they'll be set.
Actually, you know, being the source of eggs is a pretty good deal these days. Not bad. We get our eggs from a little farm up the road a piece for $5 a dozen. I think that's pretty much the standard.
That's a great price.
Right? Is it?
Yeah. For Northern California. For like real eggs.
They are real. You know they're real because they're not white. They're blue and brown and green and all sorts of colors. You're watching MacBreak Weekly. Home of the eggs.
The eggs leader.
But it's so funny when you go from California. Was it one thing about it? When you go from California to some other, like we were doing a job in South Carolina or whatever, and there was like 18 eggs for $2. And from someone from California, you look at them like, what's wrong with these eggs? Like, I don't know if I can eat these eggs. I don't know if they're, like there's got to be something wrong, but of course it's all the eggs are very local.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. And luscious. MacBreak Weekly, Andy Andco, Jason Snell. I almost called you Jason Alexander.
That's my middle name. I answer to that. Jason Alexander Snell. Indeed, it is. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
I'm going to call you Jason Alexander.
He stole my bit.
Yeah. That's your bit. I didn't even know it was your bit.
Yeah.
And Alex Lindsay, we're so glad you're here. Von der Leyen warns X, Meta, and TikTok to play by the rules in Europe, no matter who is CEO. You put this in, Andy. I don't even know what. That means.
It was a double whammy because I think the Wall Street Journal had a big exclusive article about how the EU was planning on hitting Apple and Meta, a whole bunch of other companies with a whole bunch of sanctions, including fines, but not just fines but sanctions. But they decided to postpone it until some situations in Washington sort of solve themselves out. And it feels as though this piece that you called out was like the EU's head saying, no, that's not true. We're not doing that at all. We're still after them. We're like a dog on a sausage with those people. Don't worry.
This is why we have opened cases against TikTok, X, Apple, and Meta, just to name a few. I don't know what Ursula von der Leyen sounds like, but I'm going to make her sound like Colonel Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. We apply the rules fairly, proportionally, and without bias. We don't care where a company's from and who's running it. We care about protecting people.
Yeah.
Is that a kind of a glancing reference to Elon Musk?
Maybe there's been a lot of reportage and a lot of speculation about like what EU enforcement of the Digital Markets Act and other things are happening and now affecting actual U.S. diplomacy, where like the Trump administration has been making noises that no, we regard these attempts to fine America. We believe that the DMA is specifically crafted to hurt American business, and by golly,
if we're going to hurt American business, we're going to do it ourselves. Gosh darn it! Not let some frogs do it in Europe. JD Vance said we're actually going to tie participation in NATO to your continued aggressive stance against your American companies. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's only been escalating. And there's no end in sight. Again, to quote Hunt for Red October, this is going to get out of hand. It's going to get out of hand, and we'll be lucky to live through it.
And now we've had our requisite weekly Hunt for Red October quote. I think we can continue.
We get to keep our liquor license.
One ping. Oh no, we already did. Okay,
Give me a ping.
Say that for next time.
One ping only.
What a great movie, though. What a great
all-timer.
movie. Yep. Apple is celebrating Earth Day in 5 ways. Earth Day is today?
Today, I think so.
Happy Earth Day.
Thank you.
Man, happy
as the spokesperson for the Earth.
Yeah, congratulations to everybody out there on the Earth. We did it, everybody.
We did
Thank you for sticking with the winning team for another year.
Let's go one more year.
I don't know.
I was around as a Ute when Earth Day began in the 70s. And it was really an attempt to kind of focus people on the fact that we only have this one planet, Mars notwithstanding, and maybe we ought to take care of the darn thing. Apple's homepage is updated to celebrate Apple 2030, a plan as innovative as our products. Is Apple a good custodian of the planet Earth?
Pretty much. Like, I was surprised. Greenpeace, so they released their annual environmental progress report. Greenpeace had like a response to it, which I thought, okay, sit back, let's get ready. And actually, the statement was more or less, hey, Apple's doing a very good job. However, their suppliers are the real culprits in greenhouse gas emissions and other damage happening to the planet. So if even Greenpeace is not willing to stick its fangs into the neck of Apple about this, that probably means that whatever they're doing is seen as somewhat positive.
I think the excessive use of green ink in this report proves that Apple is focused on green.
Well,
recycled.
You know that the green ink has a lot of mercury in it. That's the big problem. I don't scroll too far down. I'm saying.
I do think that. I mean, is any big corporation that is selling lots and lots of products like super green? We could talk about like maybe your product should all last longer and people shouldn't buy new ones. But Apple has tried, I think, genuinely, this is not greenwashing. Apple is genuinely committed to driving change. They have been really since Greenpeace called them out back like 20 years ago. Yeah. They do the environmental checklist slide every time they introduce a product now.
They do now.
That came directly because they were criticized.
They had
by
a visit
Greenpeace.
from Mother Earth a couple of years ago.
They did. If you like comedy bits. So I believe they truly want to do this, that 2030 commitment to be carbon neutral. Like even with the suppliers, like their goal is that the suppliers also, because they're counting everything that's in their products, including what's provided by their suppliers and what's used by the users. That's part of the commitment too. So I think generally, like we could quibble about what Apple does, but I think Apple makes a lot of other companies look bad. And I think when other companies say, we can't do it, we just couldn't afford to do it, they hate the fact that people can point at Apple and say, yeah, actually you can do it. You just don't want to. And I think that Apple, like, again, could they do better? Yes, there are lots of ways. But I think that if you're talking about a giant, profitable, profit-seeking, shareholder, value-seeking corporation that is still showing a responsible commitment to environment and carbon neutrality and things like that, you will probably not find a company that's a better example than Apple.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you're selling stuff that is destined to end up in landfill.
Well, even there, they've spent a lot of time reclaiming, like they built the robots, and I know that some of that is for show, but like they are trying very hard, especially the tariff thing. I mean, this is actually part of that, which is they try to resell those products and refurb them. And when they've ended their life, what they try to do is pick them apart and get all, and that's one of the reasons why so many of their products now use recycled elements, is because they're pulling those elements out of old products and melting them down and then using them again for rare earths and for things they use for welding and for their aluminum. And like, again, are there skeletons in that closet? Are there things they could do a better job with? I'm sure that there are, and that's true with all recycling, by the way. All recycling is not as good as you think it is. But I do think that one of the things that Apple is doing
is not as good.
Yeah. So
I still do it. I hope that some of it's worth it.
Some of it is good. Some of it's not. My wife used to work for an energy firm that did recycling stuff, and she's like, "Oh boy, let me tell you." But
well, they keep.
But
the
there is
Petaluma
some
keeps saying I can put plastic in my recycling. I don't think they can recycle plastic.
Most of the plastic they can't. Glass and aluminum they can. Plastic recycling stuff. But anyway, so Apple and it benefits Apple too in the sense that they can use these recycling chains to acquire materials that they would otherwise have to source from a mine in China that China's not allowing to be exported, or from a mine in Africa where the people are horribly exploited. Like some of it is that too. So even there, and it's interesting how they do this, right? Like they have found a potential criticism and said, okay, what can we do to offset that? And the recycling, they legitimately have made a big effort to get those, to do a whole reuse chain where they're selling old phones, selling old computers, and then when they reach the end of their life, they will take them, and they've got a system to take those components apart and not just chuck them in landfills because they have value.
Are they able to recycle AirPods?
Nope, they're just plastic and batteries. So no, they're one of the worst of all of Apple's products for that. It's an interesting question in the long run of what we've seen. The pattern, right, tends to be that the Apple comes out with a product that's incredibly powerful and small and completely unrecyclable. And then over time, and unfixable, unrepairable. And then over time, as time moves along and everything miniaturizes, they get better at that. So I would imagine that'll happen. I know some other companies have tried to make earbuds that have removable batteries.
Who knew made out of stainless steel?
Yeah, eventually.
Well, the
aluminum.
The progress report does proudly say that the AirPods Pro 2 use 100% recycled gold in the plating of multiple printed circuit boards.
Yay!
That's expensive.
And that's compared to like the other like illustrations where here's what we make the box out of, and here's how we recycle all of that.
I always
it's a very readable report.
I always think of the factoid that every plastic toothbrush ever made is sitting still in a landfill and will be for years to come. And so, but I mean, everybody has to do what they can, and I guess keep your AirPods going as long as they can. Apple is. I mean, they did do an Earth Day activity challenge on your Apple Watch today. If you work out for 30 minutes or longer, you're gonna get a 2025 Earth Day award in the activity app. Congratulations.
Do you get extra move points for like throwing tomato soup at a piece of artwork at a museum?
No.
Either in or you're not.
Do not do that, please. I beg of you. They are offering, actually, this is real, 10% off eligible Apple accessories when they recycle eligible devices at the Apple stores through May 16th. Let's keep doing that, Apple. Maybe not just for the month. Yeah. Maybe keep doing that. The
one thing that I'm still curious about is that, and I agree with Jason, there's a lot of greenwashing. There's a lot of you notice that Google used to be a lot more quote proud unquote and demonstrative about its green efforts until they had to put 100 more horses on their AI development, and now they can't really source all clean energy to train all those models with, can they? And so now they're a lot quieter about what they're doing. Apple has a small section about artificial intelligence in which they mention that, well, yeah, we try to do most of the stuff on device, so it's not consuming more energy than was already going to be on the device. Apple Intelligence servers are running 100% clean energy or renewable energy. I don't have it in front of me, but it doesn't merely make it clear they're subcontracting cloud compute from Google and others to train those models, and I don't see anywhere in the report. It's a 126-page report. Maybe I just didn't see it. It doesn't mention, well, here is how we're taking responsibility for the hit that we are contracting the hits we're calling out on Mother Earth, but through subcontractors and other hitmen. I think that's an interesting thing that should be investigated. I'm sure they're working on it. I'm sure that they're concerned about it. But that's the one thing that's missing from this.
Where can I find my awards? I want my Earth Day award. I worked out today. Well, I can't find it. They said it's in Fitness Plus, but I don't see it anywhere. Other things they're going to do. They're going to enable clean energy charging on the demo units in U.S. Apple stores. So they'll charge at times a day when the grid is cleaner. Yeah. Okay.
I guess actually, you know what? I like that in that it shows that they're actually thinking from top to bottom.
Yeah.
It looks weird if they're saying, oh, well, here's a way that you wouldn't save a hell of a lot, but you'd save a non-zero amount. So why don't you do it? Like, yeah, maybe we should do it this way.
Just want to show you my Earth Day award. Look how pretty that is. 2025 Earth Day.
And it means more because it was done through the voting of your peers.
Yes. I do not have the Global Close All Your Rings Day award, however. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I have the Heart Month Challenge, the Veterans Day Challenge. I have accumulated a lot of awards I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah.
Look, there's a little Easter Bunny award. That's for Lunar New Year.
You pressed a lot of levers to get a lot of food pellets. That's
I didn't even know. I mean, I'm going to get back in there. And
you've been tricked into good health.
They tricked me. Okay. Anyway, you can read the entire sustainability report if you care, and Greenpeace's
it's very readable.
response.
It's very illustrative. I think it wasn't.
Nice.
It's not just for Greenpeace. It really is.
I think
to
they
make
care.
The case to the public.
I agree. They care. It's just difficult when you're a company that sells products that have a limited lifespan and are made of plastic.
Yeah. I mean, both things can be true, that this is incredibly good PR for Apple, and they also care genuinely about the environment. That one does not necessarily negate the other.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Andy, you have so many good stories in here. Meta removes use of Apple Intelligence in its apps on the phone. Now, you have that as an option as an app developer. Why would Meta take that out of their Facebook app and their WhatsApp and their Instagram app?
I'm wondering whether they don't get the access to the data if Apple does it. So I think
they want you to use their app.
I think if you use the Apple Intelligence for that, I think that Apple's not handing them back what you typed first. They want to see all of it if they can.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like when you edit text in Instagram or whatever, like in any other app, if there's editable text, you automatically get that little dingus that says, hey, click here for Apple Intelligence features. That's been removed from pretty much every Meta product. And
you can still do it with Meta's own AI, of course, just not Apple's. And I think you're exactly right. That's because Meta wants that data. Apple, I mean, this is how valuable the data. Apple is actually using bug data reports for AI training.
Yeah. It's free text.
Anything we can eat. Yep.
I thought that was unusual. I mean, they're used to sort of like take it or leave it stance with all of its developers anyway, or anything that's developer related. But thought that it was weird. There's no opt out of harvesting that for AI.
Yeah. Look for this line everywhere where it says, Apple may use your submission to improve Apple products and services, such as training Apple Intelligence models or other machine learning models. And your choice is go back, don't ask again, or submit. You want to submit a report, you're going to do it. But, how much is in there? Not a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I submit the bug reports when I see them, but I don't write anything. I just say, you can have it. That's fine.
Yeah, it's more interesting with Apple than it would be with other companies because they do try to establish themselves as, no, we're different from Google, we're different from Facebook, we totally respect user privacy. I don't think they're doing any damage by taking this information because it's not like people are saying, oh, I tried to type my social security number in here and I typed it as blah 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 blah, but it gave it's not as bad as that. But nonetheless, it's weird that that is part of the workflow of collecting data for AI. When it goes to the approvals process of Apple as a new policy, there isn't immediately a point in the workflow that says, okay, and at what point are we going to ask for permission to have either ask for people to opt in or tell them they have the ability to opt out? And so it's weird that this is like it's true of nearly everything that Apple does with AI, with personal data or private data, but it's weird that this is an omission, assuming that we understand this correctly.
Poor John Ashley's finger's been hovering over the Vision Pro button for the last 2 hours. Go ahead, press the button. Go ahead.
What do you see? What do you know? It's time to talk the Vision Pro.
Also, this goes before that previous thing where we talked about rumors about the Vision Pro.
Yeah. Can you move that in there? I forgot.
Slide that just.
I didn't know that was going to be a Vision Pro story, so I didn't prepare properly.
We need to talk about that later.
Okay. Also, there's only one Vision Pro story, and it's not great. Ping Pong Club brings realistic table tennis to the Apple Vision Pro.
I got to try that. My favorite app on the MetaQuest is 11 Table Tennis, which is an amazingly accurate ping pong app. And I'm gonna predict that this one's not going to be as good because 11 Table Tennis uses actual controllers that know exactly where your hands are and how they're moving in order to do. They're very realistic. Because holding a MetaQuest controller is very much like holding a ping pong paddle. And if you just have to use the Vision Pro's onboard hand recognition with no controllers, I'm going to guess it's not as good. But I will try it because I love table tennis and don't have a house big enough to have a table tennis table. You need
a special basement with a big piece of petrified wood, it looks like.
I guess.
And little boxes.
This one's ultra exclusive. This is like the ping pong rec room of a crime lord.
Man.
That's how fancy this thing
is.
I will check this out and report back next time whenever it ships, if it's out yet. Whatever, I will go get it.
Yeah.
And I'll report back. Yeah, my favorite location in 11 Table Tennis is a mountaintop chalet. It's just delightful to play ping pong at the top of the world. You've done your skiing for the day. And now it's time for some table tennis. I love it.
Seek enlightenment and an overhead smash.
It's legitimately great. It is a perfect use of that technology to do that. So we'll see.
Now, are you playing a person or you're just playing the Mac on this? It looks like.
Yeah, 11 will let you do either one. They'll let you do AI or I found that the problem is that this is such a quick reflex that you need incredibly low latency or it doesn't really work. But the AI players are great.
Yeah.
Good for your practice.
Of course they're great. They're better than you if they really wanted to be.
Well, there's a sliding scale, right? So you basically, the way you play on 11 table tennis is you keep sliding up the difficulty until you can't win, and then you realize that you've reached your limit as a player. And I reached my limit as a player in that game, but it's great fun.
Can I just say though, it reminds me of like probably my all-time favorite game on the classic Mac, which was Shuffle Puck Cafe, which was air hockey.
Yes.
And it was perfect because in air hockey, you have a controller in your clawed hand that you slide across a table.
That's right.
And what is it you have with your Mac? You have a mouse that you slide across a table.
Amazing.
Greatest and so it reminded me of like if I can just like you must be right. I'm sure you're right that it's better with a controller. But the idea of if I can just stand in one place and just like pretend I've got a paddle in my hand, pretend I've got the Forrest Gump, Chairman Mao style paddle. Competition.
Darren Oakey does point out there is one big advantage to the simulated table tennis versus the real ping pong table. You don't have to bend over to pick up the ball in the Vision Pro. In the Vision Pro, the ball comes to you.
Yes.
And that's the Vision Pro segment.
Now you see, now you know, we're done talking the Vision
Unless
Pro.
you guys can come up with any. Is there any new immersive
Also
video
that rumor.
or anything?
That's it for now.
Not a lot of new content yet. I mean, a lot of us are waiting for the camera. So we're all waiting for when the camera starts rolling out. But we
just imagine those Vision Pro segments are going to get longer and longer once the camera comes out. Would you buy an MDR Dasher keyboard? Are you ready? Are you ready to start processing data for Severance? Is your INI ready? There is an actual mechanical keyboard from Atomic Keyboard based on the keyboard in Severance. It uses a 70% layout, built-in trackball.
Yeah.
Just like the TV show Deep Blue Housing, rounded keycaps, and just like the TV show, there's no escape key.
No escape key, control key, or option key. So you're going to have another keyboard next to it.
This is not a good keyboard.
Or you could buy a real keyboard and put the Severance keycaps on it like I did.
Look at that. That's pretty.
So cool.
That's pretty.
It's good enough, I say.
Is that a Commodore logo on your keyboard?
No, that's the 6 Colors logo.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I apologize.
But it's you get the Dasher keycaps and make your own on whatever keyboard you want.
Oh, okay. Nice.
For mechanical
That's what those are? Those are the Dasher key caps?
Mine are from what is it? Drop.com.
Yeah.
And they have Dasher keycaps that you can get as a set and put
I'm guessing you're quite a fan of the old Severance.
Love it. And the keycaps are cool too.
What does MDR stand for again?
Macro data refinement.
Thank you. And we do a little bit more know what's going on. I finally finished.
The work is
season 2.
mysterious and important, okay?
The work is mysterious and important. The work is mysterious and important. Ted Lasso back from the dead. Brett Goldstein compares it to a dead cat. Apparently, in his youth, he had a cat. He thought it got hit by a car. They buried it, but it turns out it was a different cat. And the cat came back.
He was on a podcast. He told his story when they're asking him about it, like about what Ted Lasso coming back. He said, "I have a friend I went to university with, and I think about this a lot. He had a cat that died. He loved his cat, and the cat was run over, and they buried the cat, buried it, and he was a child. They buried the cat in the garden, and he lay in bed so sad, so upset and crying, and he prayed and he prayed and he wished, I wish the cat would come back." And then the cat did come back, and it turned out that the cat they buried wasn't their cat. And I think about that all the time.
And there he is. He is, of course, not only one of the show's writers, he plays Roy Kent. And that was kind of a serendipitous thing. They didn't originally cast him. But,
no, he was just a writer on the show, and then he auditioned for the part. As they were writing
you should be a soccer player. Anyway, so it's coming back. I don't know. Didn't they finish it? Didn't they wrap it up?
They really did.
I mean, it was a story. They had a 3-season plan, and they told a story. And then there was a question of are there more stories to tell since it's wildly popular? And Apple's going to back a truck of money up to Jason Sudeikis' house. And I think he looked at the size of the truck and finally decided that it was worth it. Also, I will say it is a British production. I know it's a Apple and there's American producers on it, but they shoot it in the UK. And in the UK, especially, there is a grand tradition of shows going away and then coming back a few years later and then going away again and then coming back again. And I feel like American TV is starting to do that too, which is you can just, come back 5 years later or whatever. And I think that they decided the money was too good to pass up. And I think Jason Sudeikis finally did come up with an idea for what he could do that he would feel good about. And, I feel like as long as they want to make Ted Lasso's, Apple is happy to write that check.
Well, and I think that for the streamers, it's always so hard to find something that's successful. With anything, with any series, it's not just streamers. It's just with any series, they're all kind of a shot in the dark. You don't know if they're going to have the lightning in a bottle that's required to make them great. And so, I mean, you look at Andor. I mean, I think Disney's spending $25 million an episode on Andor because it's
even with the volume, they're spending that much money.
They've put in $645 million for season 1 and season 2 so far. they just
what makes it so expensive? Because
there's a lot of ships.
They're shooting on a stage that
no.
Yeah, but they're all.
Yeah, it's a lot of ships. Still a lot
it's
of.
Not, and it's a lot
effects.
of sets too. It's not the Mandalorian. I think does a lot more stuff with the volume.
Yeah.
But even with the volume, there's a lot of effects. There's a lot of other things that have to get done. It's not, and then there's actors and writing and all the other things that are required. And it just it adds up, especially when you start doing, like The Pit. I think is rumored to be like 5 or 6 million. They literally never leave the set. The set is done. It's there. They don't have a lot of big actors.
They do 3 days of location shooting in Pittsburgh, and then everything else is in LA in the studio.
I can't even imagine that they maybe 3 days for the whole season.
They did. They're the rooftop scenes at the beginning and end.
You have to shoot
shot
that in a real rooftop.
In
Pittsburgh. But 3 days for the whole season they spent.
For the whole season.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like
they literally
had
to write the script for the last episode because they shot that at the beginning of the shooting block.
Right.
And so they had to know how it ended before they began because all the outdoor stuff was shot in 3 days in Pittsburgh, and then
It is remarkable. If you ever get a chance to see it, visit a soundstage. I remember visiting the soundstage for Parenthood, and they just built a house, like a 2-story house.
Right, except you can move all the walls.
But you can remove walls, and the refrigerator, the back of the refrigerator, you could take it out so you could shoot into the freezer as the guy opens the refrigerator. And of course, they use Duratrans outdoor stuff behind all the windows, so it looks like they're in a real house.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, actually, what Hollywood can do on a set. And
Yeah,
yet,
and the problem
managed
is-
to spend tens of millions of dollars an
but the thing
episode.
is that but that's how they got the pit down to a reasonable price, is that they don't have any exteriors. Andor is all exteriors. Not only is it exteriors, it's exteriors on other planets.
On
Trantor,
Tatooine,
so they have to jump around a lot, and so I think it comes out tonight. So it should be.
Do they shoot that on the volume though?
I don't know whether they shoot. I have to find out. I know they do Mandalorian on the volume.
I know that's famously.
One of the things that you don't think about with a volume is they were going to put one into 3210 or something that was not quite as big as that volume, and we have what we at 3210 had 6,000 amps, not the 6,000 volts or watts, but amps. 3-phase, 2,000 each phase.
Jeez.
And it wasn't enough.
Is that for the
giant
lights?
screen?
Well, that's the volume. That's the screen.
The screen is so it's so expensive to turn on. So and then you have all the processing that is required to get it there, and you're building.
I was going to say,
there
Leo,
go my dreams of building one in my house. I guess.
I don't know if the volume is as much a money saver as it is just a different creative tool, because you still have to build the worlds that are in 3D. Right. What the revolutionary thing about the volume is you do that work up front instead of waiting till the end to do it.
And the actors feel like they're there. I mean,
yes, that's it. You do that work up front, like building a set, and then when the actors are there, they feel surrounded by it, and also the director and the camera operator can move around and have it be, artistic decisions based on what it's going to look like, as if they were outside, and that's the big deal with the volume.
And the funny they did talk. There was a point in Light and Magic that when it came out last week in one of these first episodes where John Knoll just said, "Yeah, I looked out at these poor actors and all this giant set with green screen and thought, oh, those poor guys." Even back then they were just like, and it looks. And I just remember. When we were working on it, how much, especially Ewan McGregor hated it. He hated the green screen because he's just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know where I am. I don't know how I'm, it was always.
Yeah. And with the volume, there's some set, right? They'll often have the ground is there and there's some near foreground things. It's a lot like that, how they did planets in old Star Trek episodes, right? Is they would have some set dressing in the near ground, and then they would just have that cyclorama with orange behind it. And now it's actual background. But that means you are in a tangible set and also have some idea of what surrounds you, and the lighting is dynamic. So the light moves, and as an actor, I know it's a little weird because the perspective shifts as the camera moves, but as an actor, it must be so much better. And as a director and a director of photography, it's got to be so much better to feel like you can control what you want the look to be. And I've heard from people in the VFX side who say, the beauty of it is all those creative decisions have to be made up front instead of, they say, oh, we're going to do it like this.
We'll fix it in post.
And then they see the VFX and they're like, no, let's do something different. Instead, you agree to it up front. It forces everybody to be a little more professional. Although I have heard stories where people then will shoot on the volume and say, can we change it now? And it's like, no, what are you doing?
And then times when they don't know, you can tell when you look at the behind the scenes, they don't know. They just turn the set green. They'll make a section green behind them.
Boo.
Going we don't know what we're going to do there yet. We haven't made that decision. And so, or it's too much
probably
processing.
Time to confess that the whole attic studio thing, the whole thing was just a fake. I never
It's
moved.
a green screen.
We're still in the East Side studio.
Oh, no.
The whole thing was a bad dream.
How could you?
As a matter of fact, I mean, we all share a house. We're all actually
we all live together.
As a matter of fact, Jason, here is that Dr. Pepper that you wanted to borrow.
Oh, well, thank you, Andy. I really appreciate that.
That looks delicious.
Tasty.
If you're a gamer, I should get rid of this. This is yours, actually, Jason.
Yeah, that's my pick.
That's your pick. I love it.
You're inviting all kinds of mischief when you just, as a joke, decided to drop over green screen behind you.
Nobody knows.
This thing is huge, and
the Discord is probably already full.
It's a big, people listening and not watching, it's a giant green screen. I would just want to point out that nobody knows that I'm also in front of a fake backdrop. It's very exciting here, and now I'm going to turn it off. And it's also my real
it's the same.
It's fine. I just have a fake of my real backdrop.
I love it that you do that. That's so
going for the double bluff. Very,
that's
very
right.
clever.
But I am here. Oh,
is he real or is he How can you tell? If you are a Mac gamer, you probably know about whiskey. Not the one you drink, but the one you use to to play Windows games on your Macintosh. Whiskey was created by an 18-year-old college student who's tired of it. He's attending Northeastern. He says it's always a balancing act between my schoolwork and dev work. So Isaac Marovitz is this is from Ars Technica is basically killing Whiskey. He says to save paid apps, but really he's just tired and he wants to go back to school. So good for him.
Yeah, it's a classic story, right? There's nothing bad here. He just was a kid who did an open source thing, and everybody's like, "This is amazing," and he's like, "I have to stop now and do my homework."
And because this is no longer 1991, nobody stepped in and say, "Hi, here's $40 million. We'd like you to start a company based around this."
Right.
So,
no, instead, Crossover's developers said, "Congratulations on deciding not to do this product that competes with us anymore. Well done."
We'll take it from here. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to know about this. There is a developer who has shown Windows 11, Windows on ARM, running on an iPad Air using emulation. Can I do that? That's thanks to the DMA. This is Windows latest spotted this. As far as I know, it's not been released.
Yeah,
or
if you're in Europe, it's on the Alt Store Classic alternative app store.
Of course. Yeah.
But it shows you that, well, if you can't, here's what could be done. And there's a video, and it seems to run as well as Windows 11 on ARM would run, which is not terribly great, but certainly usable if you are.
Honestly, I run it on my Mac in Parallels, and it runs very nicely. It's actually probably as fast on a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro as it would be on many Windows machines. So I'm very happy with that. But it would be cool to be able to run this on my iPad. I agree.
I gotta say that's as much as we're all allergic to Windows to one degree or another. Like the idea of I've got this really cheap iPad that I love for 90% of the things that I do, and it's nice to also have like an actual desktop operating system with full app support, full everything support.
Well, or even for that one game, right?
Or that one app. I'm not sure if it's solid enough for gaming.
Yeah,
at least the demo doesn't indicate that. But it's not as though like don't you refer to some of these things as like bar bet apps where it's like you want a $20 bar bet by proving that yes you can boot Windows and get past the post screen. Like no, this is actually like a stripped down version of Windows 11, but still Windows 11.
Well, and then of course you can just get one of these and get a cheap monitor, and it's going to perform better than the iPad.
That's a good point.
Well, actually, I've got something on my Raspberry Pi where I just have like a USB display adapter that basically allows. I think we did this as a pick of the week a couple years ago. A company has an app that is just simply take an HDMI input and put it in a window. So put it inside the app view so that you can have a Raspberry Pi or whatever hooked up to the video input and use your iPad as a screen. But nonetheless, because it's getting that through an app that is simply feeding through the HDMI signal, that means that it's just another app. So you can have all of your iPad workflow apps, but also be able to tab into Raspberry Pi, Linux, or whatever else you're running on it. I mean, there are these really cool, like, AliExpress $120, $130 like deck of card size Windows machines that are useless for anything other than I would spend $120 so that I could have this one app that I need to run on my iPad but can't run on my iPad, and I don't want to use VNC or anything like that to get back to it. It's an interesting option.
Yeah,
not worth moving to. There are other reasons to move to Europe, but nonetheless, it's not worth moving to Europe to be able to access the
I'm moving to Europe just for that. That's all. I'm just doing it for that. That's the reason. And the fabulous jamón ibérico.
I was going to say exactly that at Barcelona. I'm still like, oh God, I wish I'd eaten more ham when I was in Barcelona.
They often talk to people on their deathbeds, and people never say, "Oh, I wish I'd worked more."
And they put it on a big lathe that never turns, but still it's a lathe. And just
sometimes they say, "I wish I'd eaten more jamón ibérico." I think I will say that on my deathbed. Maybe it'll kill me. They actually make jamón ibérico flavored Lay's potato chips. Yeah,
and no, it doesn't just taste like bacon. It actually tastes like
Yeah.
Sort of like.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the silly portion of the show, obviously. You're watching MacBreak Weekly. Andy Andco, Chief Sillifier, Mr. Jason Snell from sixcolors.com. He's very serious. And Alex Lindsay, who has shaken hands with the late Pope. All of that in one show. Where else are you going to get this? Now it's time for our picks of the week. Let's start with you, Alex Lindsay. Why not?
I have it right here.
Oh, he's got it right there, right behind him.
I was going to grab it when somebody else was doing their pick, but I can't.
Yeah, I surprised you. I'm sorry. I apologize.
So a lot of times you have cameras and you want to wrap them, but you don't have it in the right bag. You can figure out how
Did
to
you
put them
just
into
pull those
case.
off your bed, those old sheets? What is that?
This is a Domkey. So this is a wrap. This is a wrap. I paid good money for this piece of cloth here. So you have a camera, like that's the camera there. And so, but you don't want to bang it up, but you don't need you don't have a place for it to go. And so these wraps are made by a company called Domkey. There's probably other people that make them, but these are all the ones I have. I have lots of these. And and Andy's got a couple. But for taking electronics, metal, lenses, cameras, mics, and you just want to wrap them in something to keep them from banging against each other. It's not like a huge thick wrap. It's just something that you want to throw around something. They're about $20 each, and I've got so many. Anyway, so and so they're just great when you're trying to like pack a Pelican case and you got to put a bunch of stuff into it, or pack your backpack and you just don't want the metal stuff banging against the metal stuff to scratch it and so on and so forth. They're a great deal, and they just have Velcro. You just run them around and they just attach to themselves, and you just wrap it up. And as you can see, Andy might have one or two of them. So
they come in all kinds of sizes.
Yeah, there's like a little one. I recommend the 19-inch because you can always wrap it more. The 11-inch I find to be oftentimes, the 15 is not too bad. I have got all the sizes, but it's they're great. So
yeah, I have to double his recommendation because for me it's not just sometimes you have things that are kind of odd shapes and you don't necessarily need a bag for it. You just want it to be protected when you throw it in your laptop bag or in your backpack. Or like I love my mobile setup here, but before like I went into my closet and got out like surplus donkey wraps, it's like, how do I carry two little LED panels and their chargers in one package? I don't have a bag that's exactly the right size, but I do have wraps, so I can just simply wrap them into one tight, compact package with some padding around it. And it's just absolutely perfect. Not only that, but it's also, again, for my camera stuff, because, again, I don't want to carry a camera bag around wherever I go because that's, I'm a person that a miscreant thinks, hey, I could probably outrun that guy. So I don't want to carry like a camera bag with me, but I have my little like satchel bag, and I don't have like a whole pile of stuff. But I want to just wrap my like really expensive, really nice lens in something so that it won't get scratched up inside that bag. But nonetheless, will be a tight, compact package. It's like it's in that category. If you just keep buying these, when they're on sale, buy them. There are some knockoffs that aren't terrible. Buy them too. And once you have just like use it for the purpose you bought it for, but then you put it in a closet. Once you have this as inventory, as a resource, it's like, damn, I'm packing for this trip and there's no way I can get, oh, wait a minute. I've got those donkey wraps. I can just put I've got my microphone, the stand, the cables, and a backup pair of headphones, like all in one little wrap. Actually, I think I sent that to you because I was so. Could
you wrap your lunch in it? I mean, would
my microphone burrito? That I call it.
So it's really just a piece of. Is it padded?
It's simple. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
there's a little bit. There's a little bit of padding inside. So,
and it's got Velcro, so it's easy to kind of make it fit any arbitrary.
The entire outside surface is Velcro. So, for instance, if I want to wrap this Dr. Pepper can, I can just put it in there.
So it will work with anything because it's got hook and loop on the inside and the outside.
It's the Velcro, whatever the entire outside.
You could make a little Pope hat out of it, even.
Well, so you take
too soon.
Okay, sorry, I shouldn't joke.
So, but you.
Thank you, Jason. You're the conscience of this show.
But you just anywhere you grab onto it.
That camera that you're handling there, that wouldn't be one of the new Black Magic.
It's not new
Ursa cameras.
It's an Ursa, but it's not This one,
not the Ursa. Yeah.
No, this
looks
is the
Ursa
12.
like.
It is.
Looks Ursa sign, as one would
Ursa
say.
12K. So that's what
but it doesn't have that special.
No,
lens.
It's the original 12K.
Nice.
So it's a couple of years.
That's a very nice 12K camera you just got thrown around there.
I will tell you, if you show up to your kid's high school
12K camera
with three of these and some big lenses, everyone pays attention. Yes.
iPhone 12. Yeah, that's nice.
Are you James Cameron?
Oh, my daughter said it would be weird if I just shot really good footage of her playing. She's in the pit for the thing. So I was like, well, I'll just shoot everybody, and we'll happen to get some of you too. So
wow.
So I saw it.
Domke, Domke. It's on Amazon. You're looking for your Donkey F/34M 15-inch protective wrap in a variety of colors. You also have your 11 and your 19-inch, all with a built-in hook and loop. Thank you, Alex. Mm-hmm. Andy, what do you got?
Mine is just a bit of fun, an app that I just love the fact that it exists, and I love the person who made it. Rich Siegel is a name that comes up on this show often. He is the creator, principal of Barebones Software and the creator of BB Edit, an app that I think Jason, I'd be surprised if Jason and I have another app that we've relied on for longer than we've relied on BB Edit. Even just last week, it was like, how do I transmogrify this data every single week into a blog post? Because editing it manually is too hard. Like, oh, wait, I just go into BB Edit, create a regular expression for search and replace.
This is hysterical.
And now it does it automatically. So he has he turned a
You
hobby.
mentioned that he repairs these KitchenAid mixers.
Rich, you know that pivoting from BB Edit to KitchenAid mixers is a thing that happens.
He has to. He anticipated the tariffs and how it might affect the tech industry, and his hobby is like repairing KitchenAid mixers. And I don't mean, oh look, that plug was a little busted. I mean, just like his BMW sports car, ripping it all down, the brass gears, replacing this, repacking with grease, replacing worn out parts, upgrading old parts.
Hold on, I'm going to run downstairs and get my mixer and see if this works.
I have, I've done it. I've done it too. I actually done two mixers. My one that I got from my mom, and one I found literally sitting on the street.
Yeah,
and Rich guided me through.
And KitchenAid mixers are apparently only until very recently, if it's 20 or 30 years old, so long as the molecules are still together, you can repair them, you can upgrade them. There's an aftermarket for replacement parts. And so he started a site called Mixerology, mixerology.com, for his hobby pursuits and also as an information source. And of course, it got a little bit out of hand. His partner is a librarian and a really, really good web developer. So she created with Rich a web tool for the Mixerology site that if you type in the serial number of your KitchenAid mixer, it'll decode the serial number to tell you when it was manufactured. And because Rich is the kind of genius that we should elect to higher office, but is too smart to take the job of being in higher office, he decided, hey, I'm a developer, I can just write an iOS app that will just, why type in the serial number when you can just use your iPhone or your iPad to aim the camera at the serial number and it will decode it for you. So if you, on the App Store, you can get the Mixerology app available for iOS, and so you can just simply find the date at which your KitchenAid mixer
carry this thing.
Oh God, yeah,
up into the attic.
They're heavy, aren't they, Leo? I agree. They are pretty heavy.
And now, where do I take a picture? What am I? Is there a serial number somewhere on there?
Go to mixerology.com. It
says looking for a serial number. Aim the camera at the serial number label underneath the mixer.
It is on the underside of the mixer.
Oh, you mean like the head of it?
Yeah, of the base. Underside of the base. You'll see it.
Oh, the
You'll
base.
find the serial number on the label underneath the base of the mixer. When you turn it over to look, use a towel or other soft pad to protect the finish.
Don't lift it yourself. That's
donkey
like we're doing. That's madness. But
I think this one's so old. This is vintage. I don't have a base.
It might have. Yeah, it should be.
Well, no, that's it. It should be in there somewhere on the underside. I love that this is a show where two people are holding stand mixers in their hands.
He turned into prop comics at some point. I don't know when that happened.
So literally, this one that I'm holding here, I found on the street, and I was running, and I ran by it, and I was like, oh man! And so I came back home after my run. I got in the car, went and picked it up, and emailed Rich and said, Rich, what do I do here? And he was like, okay, this model, I get this. I can send you a part for this. You need to order this part for this. And now I've got I grant you a second mixer, but this one's probably going to one of my kids at some point, and. It's awesome, or they'll get the one that my mom did. But also,
this one's an avocado green, which tells you it's pretty old.
My mom's one is avocado green too. And what I did do with Rich's help is I opened it up and replaced a couple of things and re-lubed it with new grease because the grease in there was 30, 40 years old, and that was a nice thing too. They are built like tanks. That's the thing you learn from Rich is there are parts that can fail and people put them on the side of the road. It's like you can fix those parts and they will run forever. They will run forever.
Oh, they never go bad. Yeah. I can't find the serial number on mine, but
well, that might be a pre-1984 Hobart mixer, pre-Whirlpool days. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be.
He's got examples
it says
of that
KitchenAid on it.
You send that picture to Rich and he will tell you what it is. Let me tell you.
We used to use Hobarts in the cafeteria. I remember those Hobart mixers. So they have stand mixers that were as big as me. I mean, they're huge.
Mixerology.com for the online version of that.
It's free.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Designed for iPad, not verified for macOS, but I can tell you it ran just fine. The only issue I had was I couldn't find my serial number.
Find your serial number.
And what do you learn? You just learn when it was made, basically.
You just learn when it was made. And
I would like to actually know when this was made, because I can't remember when I bought it, but I have a feeling this is a couple of wives ago. I mean, I don't know, but I think this might have been a wedding present from many, many moons.
I mean, literally, the mixer in my kitchen that I use is the one that made all the cookies that I had when I was a kid. It's literally the same, and it still works. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
50 years later.
It's the appliance, probably more than any other appliance in the kitchen. It's the one that will destroy brotherly, sisterly bonds when the parents move and they don't want to take everything with them, and now we have to decide who gets the KitchenAid mixer.
By the way, I love it that the fact that this app comes from Ocean State Mixer Repair LLC.
Yep.
Which is Rich Siegels.
That's Rich.
Yep. Well, can I send this to? It costs more to send it to him.
He does have a contact page, mixerology.com/about.
He also, like I said, he also provides advice.
Yeah. If you have a question or problem, please take a moment to find the model number and serial number
somewhat
and
ashamed.
include that when you write in the model number. Yeah, exactly. If you can't find them, tell me what the mixer says on the side and whether the head tilts up and down or the bowl cranks up and down. And if it's really old and doesn't say anything, tell me that too.
It's really old and it doesn't say anything.
He's that kind guy. He will help anybody about anything.
Thank you, Rich.
But seriously, if your mixer is broken, you can fix it.
Mine never broke.
Fix it.
It still works.
I know. I'm
ashamed to admit I have replaced it with a spiral mixer.
Well, if it's working, now you're just talking about performance upgrades, and you can help me with that too.
Yeah.
Jason, this leaves you for your pick of the week.
Yeah, I'm going to do something that's completely impractical and pointless because it's nice. Because do you like birds? I like birds. There are a lot of birds around.
Who doesn't love birds?
And this thing is called Bird Buddy. It is a bird. It is a solar charging, although you can get one without. It's got a little battery in it. Bird feeder with a webcam in it, and it takes pictures of birds and sends them to you, and video of birds and sends them to you, and you get little alerts on your phone that say, there's a bluebird on your feeder right now. And not only that, since I work at home, I can actually go look at the bird. But I clean this up for the spring and just and set it up, and the birds are going crazy. I've had so many birds the last few days. And what's the practical nature of buying a bird feeder with a camera in it?
Look at that tongue.
None. But that bluebird is the king of my house now. The bluebird rules, and it does. Can 2K.
You share these on Instagram?
You can share these. It's 2K. You can save them to your photo library. It shoots 2K video plus pulls out a bunch of stills. It's just using Wi-Fi, and like I said, its little roof. It's optional, but it's got a little roof with a solar panel on it. So as long as that panel is pointing in the direction of the sun, I never need to charge this thing. It's just sending me pictures of birds all the time in my backyard.
And if you order today, you get a free suet holder.
Yeah, well, some of the birds like the suet, and then they've got a hummingbird feeder as well.
Which one should I get, the Pro or the special Easter buddy with a bird? But
I don't know. I have the older model, so the Pro is probably super fun and fancy. And then they've got a new thing that they're doing where they're going to have like blocks where you can have
habitat,
like a feeder and different kinds and all of that. But that one is going on Kickstarter in a week, I think. But I took a flyer. I was literally like, bird feeder with a camera in it. That sounds fun, and it is fun. So that's it. It's not practical at all.
I'm going to get this for Lisa. She loves the birds,
and they use like machine learning algorithms to detect what kind of bird it is, and you can look at other people's bird pictures.
You can have
too,
there's a 3-in-1 nutrition set for fruit-eating birds. There's a perch extender which attaches for bigger birds. There's a solar roof.
Yeah, I just got the basic.
I'm going to get the basic one,
and they like it. And I went to my local hardware store and bought some fancy finch food, and all the finches are very fancy and happy. So that's it. Birds. Yeah. Who doesn't like them?
Who doesn't? And that concludes this episode. The kind of the wackiest episode ever of MacBreak Weekly. Jason Snell is at sixcolors.com. Now with Mike Hurley on the Upgrade podcast at sixcolors.com/Jason.
Yep.
He's back, baby. Did he have a good time with his little newborn?
Yeah, I think he taking 2 full months off is a pretty great thing.
Fantastic.
So good for him to do that.
Very proud of him for doing
Now he's got to grapple with being a working dad. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Awesome. Nice to have you, Jason. Thanks for being here.
Yes.
Andy Andco is on the Blue Sky at ihnatko.bluesky.social. Thank you for being here, Mr. Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure to see you. And Alex Lindsay, officehours.global. Anything you did your NAB coverage? That's all online, I'm sure.
It is. Yeah. So we were, we pushed that pretty hard. I think we talked about it. We did a 5.1. We had that microphone, which turned out to be really great.
Oh, that sounds cool. Okay.
If you listen to it in surround, now I can't listen to anybody else's coverage without surround sound, because when you hear it, you're like, oh, that sounds, you just feel like you're there. And when people use regular mics where you cut everything out with an SM58 or whatever,
right?
It just now feels so dead.
Sterile.
And it's their whole you
did a whole episode on deconstructing the sphere experience.
We talked.
Oh, that's a different sphere. That's not the microphone sphere.
We got into a conversation.
That's the Vegas sphere. Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Extra Hours. Extra Hours is the Monday night, our Monday night show, and it's much more slow groove. It's just like a slow groove of us talking about and we were talking a lot about the sphere. So, but
now, would I notice if I listen now?
No, this is a different one. So we did a bunch of different things. So this was a different.
That was not. That's my bird feeder. Oh, no.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. But yeah. So but if you go up there though, there is some coverage where we walk around and
nice.
And it's
fun. There you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Officehours.global. They do it every day. So even if you missed last week, you still got this week.
Every single day. It's a crazy thing that we do this every day. And we were talking about that the other. We have not. It's been over 5 years now. So we've done
so great. Congratulations.
I don't want to be nosy here, but has Office Hours issued its own environmental impact report?
We're saving people money by teaching them how to not. We're saving We're saving the environment by having people do less travel and more virtual events. Virtual events is someone asked me, like, what is your environmental impact? I'm like, well, I empower events not to be all in person.
Yeah. People have to travel.
I don't know how to calculate that for you. But
you've added a new section to your homepage at officehours.global, which is great. All the audio visual stuff you've done over the years. So if people are late to the Office Hours game, there's a great list of things, everything from Dante to using motion to Luma. I mean, this is fantastic.
The guys are good at showing a lot of the older stuff. The team works on that. I have to admit, I'm not very past oriented. So like as soon as I'm done with the show, I never want to think about it again. Like I'm like, let's talk about the next show. But it's great
the team.
that we have this incredible team that goes through and
what a resource.
And really pulls out those things so people can find the information.
Yeah, this is new on the page and I love it. And then all the special guests. Oh, look, me and Andy are on there. There you go. and others, many, many others. Is Daria Musk any relation to Elon?
No.
Okay.
No, not related.
Just curious.
She is, yeah. She's a music artist in Connecticut.
Look at all the people. This is great. They've really, there's a whole bunch of stuff now. officehours.global. And of course, you can join the daily shows as well. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Jason. Thanks to all our club members for making this show possible. Without you, there is no Twit. $7 a month, you get ad-free versions of all the shows. You get special events. We did our coffee event on Friday. We've got coming up Stacy's book club. This Friday will be our monthly AI user group, and there's just so much good stuff happening in the club. And of course, you get access to the Discord, which means there's always a group of interesting, smart people you can hang out with. All that for $7 a month. Now, I have to tell you, we're trying to figure out as the economy goes to hell in a handbasket, if $7 is enough. And I think in the next few months, we may have to raise our prices. But I will promise you this, if you are already a member, you will be grandfathered in at the current price. So now would be a good time to go to twit.tv/clubtwit. Join the club. There is a yearly membership, yes, as well. We'd love to have you. And it makes a big difference to our going forward, to continuing to do the things we do. So thank you to our club members. Thanks. Wait a minute. What did you make? Oh dear.
You rascal.
You're outing me, Anthony. Oh dear. Oh dear. So that will be the subject of our AI users group. Let me do it full screen. Make it more fun. Yeah, hello. I got laser eyes and everything. That's fantastic. That's a little creepy. Twit.tv/clubtwit. Please join. We do MacBreak Weekly every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. You can watch us live on 8 different streams. Club members, of course, get special behind the velvet rope access in our Discord, but there's also YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Kick. Watch wherever you want, but you don't have to watch live because we also record this. It's a new technology. I think you'll find it very interesting. And put it up on our website at twit.tv/MBW. You can watch the video or listen to the audio or both. There's a link there to the YouTube channel. Great for sharing little clips. If you've got a friend with a KitchenAid, you might want to share that little clip of Jason and I showing our devices. You could also subscribe. That's a good way to do it. And that way you get it automatically as soon as it's available after our Tuesday show. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate your being here. It is now, I'm sorry to say, my sad and solemn duty to tell you, get back to work because break time is over. Bye-bye.
Hey, focus up. That is what I said to Hands on Tech when we looked at the relaunch. It is time for us to focus on one topic at a time and make sure we're answering that question. I am answering that question as thoroughly as possible. If you are a member of Club Twit, you can watch the video version of this show completely ad-free. Of course, listen to the audio version ad-free. If you're not a member, the show will still be available to you in both ways. You can watch the video on YouTube with ads, or you can watch the audio as you always have. Listen to the audio as you always have in our feeds. In any case, you gotta tune in to Hands on Tech because I guarantee there's going to be a question you're going to want to have the answer to. And from time to time, I also review a gadget, a gizmo, or something of the sort. You gotta check out Hands on Tech, and I can't wait to get your question.